Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Thursday, which means it is time for some Dawnbringers, the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. This is Season 3, Episode 4, Mother of Pearl. And you may already notice things are a little bit different on the overlay here. That's because if you look down in the lower right-hand corner, directly below V, you will see that we are joined by none other than Kelly, the Opera Geek. Thank you for being with us tonight, Kelly.
You're very welcome.
We're going to do a couple of quick announcements, and then I will recap, and we're going to get right into the game. So we can see, we kind of ended on a little bit of an interesting note last session. So we're gonna get to that real quick. First off, just a reminder, if you look down in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a couple of icons there for Jasper's Game Day and Initiative Coffee Company. That is because Mini Terrain Domain is a partner with Jasper's Game Day. You can type !Jasper in the chat at any time, just like Fellowship of the Tables has done. And you will have a direct link to donate to Jasper's Game Day. Jasper's Game Day is an organization founded by Fenway the Teen DM, a young woman here in Michigan where I'm from. What started as a one-time event has turned into an annual event raising tens of thousands of dollars to help fund suicide prevention and crisis centers around the country and around the world. By donating to that link, you too can help fund those crisis centers. There's also down in the bottom on Twitch below the stream, there is a, I always forget what they're called, a panel that you can click on as well. Additionally, we have partnered with Initiative Coffee Company to bring you Metade Roast Coffee. It is a medium Brazilian and Peruvian roast coffee. For every 12-ounce bag that you purchase through the link that is in the chat by typing !Coffee, once again, as our moderator has done, for every 12-ounce bag that you purchase, $3 goes directly to Jasper's Game Day to be dispersed to the aforementioned crisis centers. And while we're on that note of preventing suicide, we want you to know here at Mini Terrain Domain and from all of us that we think you are important. And there are others that think that as well. But if you are ever in doubt of that, if you are in need of somebody to talk to, you can type !Help in the chat, and that will bring up the phone number. It's also scrolling along the bottom of the screen for the duration of the stream for the National Suicide Hotline. Please, if you need somebody to talk to, trained professionals are waiting on the other end of that number at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255, or you can text 741-741. And we're told that if you are a veteran, you can press 1 as soon as you call that number, and you'll be connected with the Veterans Suicide Hotline. So please, if you are somebody in need, use that number. You can see the scroll going down at the bottom. I've reached a point now where I don't think we even need to explain what domain dice are. There's currently 70 up above. But I need to actually go in and modify that to 71 because right before we went on the air, Cajun Kevin resubscribed for 5 months in a row. Thank you for that, Cajun Kevin. Every subscription, 500 bits or $5 tip increases that. That is our way to let you participate in the game and have an influence on what happens. If you want more information, read the stream, the scroll below, or type domain dice in the chat. Oh, you know what? You can't do that because I'm going to turn it over while I fix this because I turned it off for one of our guest stream games that happened last night. Dice on Ice every other Wednesday is streaming right here on Mini Terrain Domain at 9 p.m. Spire, The City Must Fall. Megan is a player. Connor is a game master, and there's some wonderful players. Fantastic kickoff to the stream last night. But while I fixed the fact that I turned off the domain dice text thing, Ted, why don't you tell what is you are hitting that final finish line of something pretty big for Nerdarchy.
All right, so Nerdarchy has launched its first Kickstarter. We have actually blown through every single stretch goal that we're actually going to do. It's going to finish up was it Sunday morning in the wee hours Eastern Standard Time? But it is out of the box encounters, 55 encounters for you to be able to drop right into your game. We are over 1,000% funded. We have unlocked everything that we're going to do. Go check it out if you're looking for material that you can drop right into your game when the players do something crazy, when they go in a direction that you don't have planned. Out of the box encounters is completely designed to fill in that gap. All the encounters are scalable. All of the encounters are designed so that you can sorry, all of the encounters are designed to take multiple thought processes into an account. And it's just a really cool way to just be like, hey, you know what, I'm just going to drop this in right here. It's got complications. Not all of them are combat, not all of them are social. Some of them could be multiple depending upon how the party begins to react. So go check it out.
And actually, Undead King was asking if they can post a link to the Kickstarter. Better yet, type !Nerdarchy in the chat, and the link will automatically pop up with one of our handy dandy stream commands. That is very awesome, Ted. We're very excited for you guys over at Nerdarchy. And as I've said every time you've announced it, I can't wait to get my grubby little hands on that book and start throwing encounters at you guys and other players, running one-shots and slipping that stuff in and seeing if you guys notice. I've actually, there are some things that are going to be incorporated into tonight's games and future games from some, I'll get the more information, but some wonderful resources that I picked up on DM's Guild. This is not a sponsorship or anything. I just think they're really cool add-ons to Saltmarsh. And once I get the specific information, a new module just released written by a ton of people called Friends, Foes, and Folks. And it's a wonderful book that adds like tons of diverse characters to your gaming world, and it's system agnostic. So you'll start seeing some of those characters pop up in the future here as well. The last thing I want to say before we do the recap and get into the game proper is if you look down on the lower right below Kelly there, you'll see the little D&D Beyond logo. That is because we are fortunate to be powered by D&D Beyond. That's right, D&D Beyond has granted us insider access. If you mouse over on the Twitch stream on a computer, you will see a overlay pop up, and you can see all of the characters. And now, for tonight's session, you can even click a little arrow, and you'll be able to see Kelly's character as well. So we're really excited to have that enhancement for the game. All right, I've blabbered on enough. Let's play some D&D. Last week saw the Dawnbringers continuing their travels across the Shining Sea towards the Azure Sea, towards the distant land of Kaoland. They are escorting a group of 25 dwarven miners to bolster the mines in Saltmarsh. They are answering a request from the mine supervisor, Manistrad Copperlocks, and the city of Blazing Dell provided 25 dwarves that are helping to bolster those forces. And so they've been traveling for what was supposed to be a 10-day or more, but after a rather vicious Sahuagin Blademaster attack, they found out that the ship has certain magical properties and teleported about 8 days forward, not in time, but the distance that it would normally take 8 days to travel. So they are now only a day away from Saltmarsh. They did have a little incident with a certain clockwork wizard falling overboard as the ship reappeared in new, slightly more turbulent waters. Fortunately, the quick-thinking Thorgarn said a prayer to Moradin, tied his hammer off to a rope, and launched it down. And Fig was able to grab it not before and be pulled up, but not before launching a magical firebolt underwater and dispatching 8 of the 11 Sahuagin that tried to attack them. Thorgarn, still under the apparent blessing and guidance of Moradin, barely let their wet flippered feet touch the deck, and he set to work dispatching each one of them. And moments later, they were all dead. everybody had some time to talk some things over and start to kind of make some plans. But the boatswain's whistle sounded from above, and they all headed up onto the deck to find that the ship was approaching what looked like a weird conglomeration of an amalgam of multiple ships. There's about 13 masts rised up at different heights and pointing at different angles. They can see currently furled sails in place, indicating that perhaps this place that looks like a flotilla of crashed ships, to be perfectly honest, does look as though perhaps it is mobile. It was explained that this place is known as the Saltwater Sanctuary, a floating city that is sort of overseen by somebody known as Mother of Pearl. Much to Talmud's pleasure, they docked and were on much firmer ground. Talmud has not been doing well with the motion of the ocean on this ship. And they entered through as Dervish, Captain Stark Dervish explained this place. One of the things he warned everybody was that Mother of Pearl did not allow any weapons, though if there were any physical altercations, they could be dealt with through good old-fashioned fisticuffs. And she absolutely did not abide by the use of magic in her place. They walked around seeing a variety of all manner of heritages represented on the Saltwater Sanctuary, and then they arrived at what looked like essentially what looked like a ship that was at dry dock, raised up amongst all these other crashed ships, and an arched doorway was set into the side of it. As they walked through, Captain Dervish called out, "Mother of Pearl, it's so good to see you." And a voice called out across this large tavern space, "Virgil! It's been too long since I've seen you. I see the slee hasn't claimed you yet." And as everybody's eyes adjusts, you see the pale blue beholder floating in the centrally located bar, her 10 eye stalks being used like tentacles, grabbing bottles and pouring them into cups, pushing stuff to different patrons. And the two notable things about Mother of Pearl are the fact that she does not have any teeth in her giant mouth, and her large central eye is covered by a patchwork leather eye patch. And with Mother of Pearl exclaiming, "Virgil, I've not seen you in a while. What would you like to do?"
Oh, Cantriel is turning over to Stark and like, "Virgil."
Yeah. Stark. Captain Stark. There's only two people on these seas that get away with calling me Virgil, and Mother of Pearl is one of them.
That means there's another one to meet then, isn't there?
Well, if the seas are kind, you'll never see them.
That's never how it works either.
Talmud in the back kind of leans over to Thorgarn. "Do you think that's a friend of Victor's?"
I'm not certain. I was going to ask you if you left anything on the ship. Run back and get anything?
You mean like my hammer?
Just kind of razzing you, cousin. I know how the sail has been going for you, and
Oh, well, I feel fine now.
We're on a bit sturdier ground. It looks like you're having a better time. So I just.
Hi, the stomach feels settled. I think it's probably a bit of a time to have a few ales.
You think you'll be able to keep it down?
Let's find out. He puts his arm kind of around Thorgarn's shoulder and starts motioning him towards the bar.
So are you worried about not having weapons?
Of course I am.
No weapons, no magic. This is
well
kind of all I got. All I got.
It's all right. I've got fists.
I mean, I've got fists too, but I mean, I'd much prefer weapons.
Well, sure, but if nobody else has weapons, then maybe the playing field is leveled.
Oh, you think it's going to be leveled here? You think it's going to be fair? I mean, look, monster.
Well, truth be told, if a fight gets bad enough, just look around. There's weapons everywhere. All you have to do is just get creative.
You feel a slap on your back, Talmud, as Dervish just sort of slaps you on the back and goes, "That's the spirit dwarf." And don't let Mother of Pearl hear you call her a monster.
Oh, I no, I don't want that to happen.
And Dervish is already sort of making a line for the bar to go talk directly. Just as a reminder, this central area, in lieu of this large tavern area, in lieu of having like wooden beams or posts, you see some of the masts are passing through, just like you would expect to see on a ship. But it looks like several interiors have been put together. The space is easily 60 feet across in either direction. Several tables of different size, round, square, all different sizes, all different shapes. And there's a few patrons of note, a few humanoids, not all of whom are human. There's even a table in the corner where 3 swarthy bugbears sit hunched over their food and their ale. Griveth, what about you?
Griveth was he was kind of heading over to Talmud, and then Talmud slapped Thorgarn in the back, and they went off together. So it was kind of like, because he wants to talk to Talmud. He's got something he wants to ask him. So Talmud or Griveth goes up to the bar, and he's like, "What's your strongest stuff?"
Well, first off, you have a very dark aura about you. Is it you that smells like that?
Griveth, his face just kind of goes like, what? Because he thought after all this time of, his attrition and flatulating himself and stuff like this, that he was gonna get this evil out of him, and it totally didn't work. So he kind of had this high hope that he just like prayed the bad away, right? But obviously it didn't work. So he's just like, give me that stuff. And see that dwarf over there? He's paying for me. He's the one that holds the money.
Well, I see 2 dwarves over there.
They'll both cover it. I'm good for it.
And you see that she was already with an eye stalk, had wrapped around a bottle of something. And when you say they're good for it, she kind of looks at them over, like half of her eye stalks look over towards them. And then the bottle gets put back and a different bottle is pulled down. And she gives you sets down a bottle and then pulls a glass over and pours you a nice double shot of some brown liquid.
What's this stuff called?
Are you sure you want to ask what everything is? You don't smell like the kind of person who cares.
Just tell me. What am I drinking?
I want you to make either a persuasion or an intimidation roll.
Okay. Oh, 24. It's persuasion.
Easy there, human. No need to get your chainmail underwear in a bunch. And she pours you another glass and says, "This one is on the house." And she leans in close, even though with her immense size, remember, she's 8 feet across. And this toothless mouth is really close to you, Griveth, as she says, "This is called a kelp forest catastrophe."
Oh yeah, that's just what I need.
All right.
I'm sure this will end well.
We'll see.
Great.
What about Fig?
So seeing Thorgarn and Talmud go off in one direction and Griveth go off in another direction, Fig brings out his book that he's been writing in. And he is just standing in the center of the room observing. He is actually quite interested in all the different races and all the different looking creatures. He's never seen 90% of these types, and so he is just very, very hurriedly writing page after page.
Where are you while you're doing this?
I imagine he is unabashedly in the middle of this tavern.
Those of you that are nearest the bar would hear as Mother of Pearl, about 2 or 3 of her eye stalks are fixed on Fig. And she sort of floats over more in Dervish's direction. "Virgil, is that one with you?" "Oh, yeah. It's curiosity I picked up with these other ones. It's not part of that dark ship's crew, is it?" "No. He is actually a pretty decent fellow." "All right, I'll take your word for it then. What brings you here?" "Well, it's been a month I've been away from Saltmarsh and taking care of things over on the Sword Coast, and before we head back in, I just thought it was best to, get up to date on any news, see if anything new had happened." "Well, let me take care of things here, and then we can talk. And, Virgil." And you see this weird thing. You ever see this when somebody is trying to motion, like, by going like, "Hey, and slightly nod their head? Now imagine that their entire body is a head, and that they're doing this, trying to go like, "You all right, Mother of Pearl? Do I have to spell it out for you? She's here."
From behind him, one very pale blue hand drapes over his shoulder and rests comfortably on his chest, and the other hand comes around with a drink. "Oh, Virgil. Still shepherding lost souls, I see."
"Hello, Ira."
"Hello, Virgil. What's this, little bunch you've brought us?"
"Well," and he reaches up and just sort of slides out from under your hand that's draped over his shoulder and moves. He tries to move away from you, but since he was already at the bar and you're so close behind him, all he can do is sort of awkwardly turn to face you and realize that you're so close, he's kind of trapped right up against the bar. "Yeah, I was picking up some supplies in the Sword Coast, and, well, they came with the gig. They call themselves the Dawnbringers.
And did they give themselves this name?
Yeah, I think so.
Ah, I used to give myself fun names when I was a child, too.
Well, and realizing that, with the exception of Fig, who's maybe several feet away, all of the Dawnbringers are pretty much right next to you guys. He just sort of goes, well, that one over there is called Griveth. Langsmore, I believe. The metal one writing in the book over there is called Fig. The two dwarves here, I believe they're cousins, are Thormod and Telgrin. No, Thorgarn and they're the dwarves. And this is Cantriel.
Hello.
Hello. She ignores everybody else except Cantriel.
So you're the second one.
The second one what?
Who can call that one Virgil?
Oh, is that what he told you?
He said there were two of them.
Oh, no. He likes to think there's only two of us.
Yeah, I had a feeling he's one of those.
We do talk to each other,
So, Ira, why are you here?
Well, just in between jobs myself. I have my own ship now. I'm sorry,
What?
Cat got your tongue?
What?
I do.
You've got your own ship.
Yes. You can call me Captain if you really like.
I would not like. How? What poor, unfortunate person did you swindle, steal, or otherwise procure the ship from? Because I have a hard time believing that this was a legitimate purchase.
I won it off some rich kid. He didn't need it anymore. And plus, he was cheating at cards.
Well, then he probably deserved it.
Of course he deserved it.
Probably just one of his toys sitting in the harbor.
Oh, he liked to fly around and pretend he was some fancy pants gambler, and he really just only won every time he cheated.
Yes, I had one of those too in the past. They get rather boring after a while.
Oh my goodness, yes. One night, and that's just about all you can take of them, honestly.
That's very true. They're good for one thing, and that's about it.
Yeah. And then once that money dries up, you don't even want them anymore.
Talmud leans over to Thorgarn. They make them in blue now?
I'm not even sure what that is.
Dwarf.
I have very good hearing. For.
Cantriel's head would snap over at that one too. Remember your manners there, dwarf.
To be fair, all I've heard was blue skin, so I don't even have a full description. So, my apologies.
Yeah, Kelly, why don't you describe what we're all seeing here now that everybody's had a chance to see Ira?
Yes, let me pull up the fancy pants description.
Also, while you do that real quick, a thank you to Myth and Gears, who has resubbed for 5 months, getting you another domain die.
So, what you see before you is about 6 foot tall, pale blue skinned elf. She has a smattering of almost silvery white modeling across her face. Would look like freckles if you weren't looking too closely. She has very bright green eyes and silver hair that's piled up into this giant braid that goes all the way down her back to her waist. And it's got various colorful beads and shells hanging off of it. And she wears this dark leather breastplate, but you can barely see it because she's got this high-collared captain's coat that goes all the way down to her ankles. It's kind of tattered on the bottom, but it's got gold thread on the cuffs and on the very bottom of it. And she walks with kind of a swagger, which is very, opportune since she's in boots that come up over her knee that have gold trim to match the jacket. And if you look very closely above the breastplate, you can see that the white modeling goes down her throat and chest, and you could swear that you saw gills sticking up over the collar.
So
then I would actually reply, well, apparently cousins they do. I guess, we need to spend more time on the water to see something like that.
No.
You'll have to forgive them. They're not exactly well-traveled or well-mannered.
yeah, as far as I can tell, this bunch here is about the furthest thing from sea folk. The 5 of them are what we would call landlubbers. And thank you to Undead King and Follow Me and Die.
Well, the men, and she looks at Griveth and kind of wrinkles her nose, they seem to be a bit of a lost cause. This one seems nice, and she just slings her hand over Cantriel.
And likewise. And she'll smile over at Stark with a little impish grin.
I've got a table over in the corner. They reserve it for me now, ever since I became a captain of my own ship. And I'd love to have you join us.
Well, I certainly...
All of you, not just Cantriel, although unfortunately I think they come with you.
Well, I mean, that's up to them, but I'm all for a nice sit down elsewhere.
Well...
Come now, Virgil. And she walks away.
He does that thing. He's like starts to say something, and you just turn and walk away from him, and he's just left there. And then he just turns and looks at the dwarves and just sort of.
Yeah, Talmud is like watching this whole thing transpire like over the rim of his tankard.
I just got a sudden, very Gimli eyes looking back and forth, kind of. Yeah, exactly.
So I give a furrowed brow at the captain, who apparently hasn't even learned our dwarvish names. So, cuz, do you want to stay here, or do you want to go sit with the elves?
I never thought I'd be saying this, but let's go sit with the elves.
So en route, I will kind of try to get Fig's attention and direct him with the rest of us.
And as Ida has walked through the room with Cantriel, she just kind of stops and looks at Fig. This with you as well?
He is, and he's a dear.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to intimate that you were an object. I just didn't know. I've never met someone like you. Would you like to come sit at our table?
Yes, I would. What is your name?
My name is Ida. What's your name?
My name is Figure 2 Prometheus, but everyone calls me Fig.
May I call you Prometheus?
If you would like.
Kelly, Ida, I would like you to roll a history check.
Ooh. Let's see if I know how to do math. The answer is no, because I went to music school. Where's oops. Helps if I keep the character sheet open now, doesn't it? That would be exceedingly helpful, Kelly. Yes, it would. History?
Yes.
And that's a big old 7.
Okay.
You gotta love it when the DM just like, okay. You know nothing.
Well, I'm not going to say you don't know anything. It just, the name Prometheus doesn't strike any particular chords with you.
I think at that, Fig would look at Cantriel. Is it common for someone to have more than one nickname?
Oh, actually, yes, it is. You all call me Cantriel, but actually I'm called Triel by most of my closer friends.
Do you consider me one of your closer friends?
I do.
You would see if Fig could smile, he would just be beaming. He is so excited at that at that idea.
I picture it almost like the blue internal illumination just sort of pulses just a little bit brighter behind Fig's eyes. And that weird way that C-3PO can always evoke facial expressions through body language, I can definitely see Fig kind
I
of
can
putting that
imagine.
vibe out.
Yeah, he stands up a little straighter and
Yeah, it's that little, in this, that sort of, did you hear that? Griveth, are you going to join them?
No, I'm still at the bar. So as the dwarves pass me, I see Talmud and I kind of swing out with my hand and grab Talmud by the shoulder and kind of pull him over to the bar.
What the? He kind of almost like reels around with this like right hook, like, and kind of realizes who it is. Oh, yes, Griveth. What's the problem?
Let them go to the table. Let's talk for a minute.
Oh, okay. He kind of looks at the rest of them, like walking further away, like hell.
You gotta try this milk sea of the seaweed. It's really good.
I think we're gonna stick with ale. Trust you though.
That's really good stuff.
That's why you manhandled me?
No, I need to talk to you.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, so he kind of waits he kind of watches. It's just an awkward moment as he watches the rest of the party go over and sit at the table. So he's like, Talmud, I got everything figured out.
This is about Cantriel, isn't it?
Yes. How'd you guess?
Repetition, honestly.
There's a big problem.
Yes, I'm fully aware.
Because she like lives a long time, and I figured out that here's what I think of the problem is that elves, they take a long time to like get to like you or choose. So the problem is I might be dead by the time she decides. So what do I do?
He kind of looks over at the table where like Cantriel and this new elf look kind of buddy already.
And does Cantriel hear this, by the by?
I'm
trying to be quiet, but yeah, I'm drunk.
I would say probably no with the size of the tavern and how you've already been led over to Iris' table. Dervish has actually kind of gone to the opposite side of the bar, and while Talmud and Griveth are talking, Dervish and Mother of Pearl are speaking in hushed tones. Continue, Griveth and Talmud.
It's hard to tell sometimes whether an elf likes you. It's very hard to tell sometimes. They're not very warm people, usually, Griveth. I don't think that's the problem, though.
Oh wait, I know what we can do. I figured it out.
Okay.
Here's the plan.
Mm.
All right. You know how you're really ugly? I mean, well, I don't really mean that, but
appreciate it.
You know how your cousin is uglier than you are?
This is headed in an interesting direction, Griveth.
Well, here's what we can do. You could talk to your cousin and you tell him
the ugly one.
Huh?
The ugly one.
Yeah, the ugly one. The only one. We only have one with us, right?
I don't have only one cousin. No.
Oh, but we only have one with us.
So far, yes. Unless, I don't know if the others... No, I don't think any of the others are related.
All right. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay. So, I know what you can do. You can tell him to... pretend that he likes Cantriel.
Okay.
And then he's so ugly that Cantriel will see that I'm not as ugly. I mean, not ugly. And then she'll like me.
Griveth, have you ever entertained the idea? Hear me out.
Yeah.
Have you ever entertained the idea that maybe Cantriel's not the one for you?
What?
I'm just floating it out there just to see.
You think?
I don't have much of an opinion
Do
on
you
it at
really
all.
think that?
He kind of looks around uncomfortably as Griveth starts getting choked up. He kind of pats him on the back. There. I'm not sure, but they say about the sea, there's a lot of fish, and he kind of looks over at the other elf. That's a bad analogy.
At this point, there's a human, a very old-looking human man. Picture whatever comes to mind when you think old sea captain, and that's what this guy looks like. He's been sitting at the bar quietly reading a novel, and he just slowly sets his novel down on the bar top. At a glance, you might recognize the title, Hot Brimstone. He just kind of leans over. Pardon me for eavesdropping, but the two of you, well, quite frankly, you're talking kind of loud, and around these parts, dwarf, the saying is there's plenty of fishmongers in the seaport. You, sir, and he turns to Griveth.
There's only one fishmonger for me, okay?
Listen, if the lass isn't into you, trying to concoct some scheme about who looks better than the other, I can tell you it's probably got nothing to do with looks. Who knows why the women are the way they are? Give it time.
We got to speed this up. I'm going to look like him by the time she figures it out.
How old are you, son?
How old am I? 33.
I'm more than twice your age. And I've, dated, we'll say, a couple of elves in my time, and everything worked out just fine.
Oh, really?
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Just give it time and don't try to force it. Don't be like Dash Dick and Dasher here in Hot Brimstone. This young man is very aggressive. And in the end, as far as I can tell, he's going to end up dead, and she's never going to have loved him.
So, did you hear our plan? Do you think that's a good plan?
No.
I think that's a terrible plan.
I have to agree with the old salty fellow.
Well, what do you suggest?
I just told you, give it time. Don't force it.
What if I'm as old as you are?
I still got a lot of life left in me, and there's still a lot of ladies out there. Now,
Well, I don't want to wait that long.
well, you know what they say. And he turns over to Talmud. Some causes are just lost. You got to scuttle them and let them sink to the bottom. And he turns back to his novel.
Well, Griveth, I hope that was enlightening.
This ruined everything.
Maybe start with
I don't know what else to do.
bathing, maybe incense, something.
I don't. Did we have we ever talked about my problem? Talmud? The other problem?
I don't know if Talmud's aware of what's going on or not.
Okay.
Well, you do have that potion of enlarge.
Do I smell funny?
Funny is not really the word I would use. I mean, funny in like a graveyard way, maybe.
Yes.
You smell like a dead thing.
I still haven't gotten rid of it.
Maybe you should throw it away. Whatever it is.
I don't know how.
Do you know what's causing it?
Yes.
Well, what is it?
It was your advice.
Oh, wait a second. Now I
You
think
told
we're
me to
doing-
plant. You told me to plant that tree, and then I got cursed.
Plant the tree. What tree, Griveth?
You know the tree. The tree.
The
You
tree from
said
the
give
Sunless
Cantriel a
Citadel?
tree. You said give her a tree.
You gave her the one from the Sunless Citadel?
Yeah, I cleansed the seed.
Thorgarn, Griveth needs to talk to you.
So I guess you're yelling across the tavern.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what we all talked about over at the other table, but
Well,
so
before
not
this,
as embarrassing as that.
so with him calling you over, we're gonna cut to the table. And so while Griveth and Talmud are talking, Fig, Thorgarn, Cantriel, and Ira are taking a seat at a table that Ira has invited you all to.
Oh, did Virgil not come?
Not for the he'll come along in about 2 or 3 minutes. He's just talking quietly to Mother of Pearl. I'd say probably about the time you guys kind of everybody does the little dance of who's going to sit where. Stark will come over and he will he'll take a seat as opposite across the table from Ira as he can. And he sits down. So now it's pretty much everybody but Talmud and Griveth.
So when I come over, thank I look at Ira, thank you for inviting us, and I kind of look over my shoulder and see that Talmud is not there, and I see that he's gonna, in the conversation with Griveth, and I just kind of, just let an exasperated sigh because I know what's going on over there. Well, thank you for inviting us to your reserved table.
Oh, it's no problem. Mother of Pearl knows me quite well. In and out all the time. What? I mean, I can't complain that your friend hasn't come over here. Has any of you told him to take a bath?
Numerous times. It doesn't seem to stick.
Something is.
And obviously.
There's been a lot going on to that.
Yes.
Long story.
He has issues to kind of sum it up a little bit.
So Ida will kind of cast her eye around the table and lean her chair back against the wall and pop her legs up onto the table and cross them as she's drinking her ale, like across the corner of the table. So, what got you hooked up with Virgil here?
More like our reputations preceded us and they didn't tell us about his.
Yes, I can see how that might have been a problem for you.
We found out what the ship does. That was fun.
Is he still playing those parlor tricks? It's so cute.
They're a little more than parlor tricks. I guarantee you whatever probably barely seaworthy vessel you picked up can't do even a half of what the Evangeline can do. I don't remember seeing any unknown ships berthed on this side of the sanctuary, so it must
darling,
not be very
I have
big.
a private dock.
Of course.
Are you actually worried about comparing sizes? Remember, it's not the size that matters.
Well, he learned that lesson a long time ago. But anyway, what is your profession when you're not sailing with miscreants?
So who was that question directed? Who was that question directed?
All of you.
Everyone. Oh, everyone.
Okay.
Like, who are we talking to?
We are adventurers. I believe that is the term.
Indeed.
Adventurers. Have you had many adventures?
Oh yes.
She'll lean into Fig with her, like kind of put her elbow on her knee where she's leaned up on the table and kind of leaned towards Fig. Have you had lots of adventures, Prometheus?
Oh yes, plenty. They've all been very exciting.
Really? Have you gotten to blow anything up?
Yes, I
Best
do
part.
believe I have.
He's actually
Isn't it fun?
really good at that.
So, are you guys working while you're here or just vacationing in our lovely city?
We're on our way to, was it Saltmarsh? To
Yes.
deal with an issue
Saltmarsh.
over there.
Well,
What have you heard
Yeah.
about this place?
you should be on your toes when you're there, and possibly keep members of your party who have a little trouble controlling their tone of voice under control.
Is that Saltmarsh or is that in this place?
I mean, to be fair, that's really everywhere. Somebody should learn social graces. But other than that, Saltmarsh is in a very delicate balance at the moment.
Yes, we're getting a little hint of that here and there. And she'll kind of glance over at Stark.
And there's certain people you do not want to make angry.
Well, that's a list of names I would be pleased to hear if you're willing.
Yes.
Well, I personally stay away from the place. There's nothing I can get in Saltmarsh that I can't get somewhere else, honestly.
Yeah.
Without the added politics and threats of assassination, don't you know?
Listen, Ira. If you're hanging out here at the sanctuary, that means you either have nothing on your docket to do and you're trolling for whatever leftovers are going to fall your way, or, judging by that grin on your face, you're already scheming something and putting something together.
I wouldn't say scheming. When have I ever
Of course you
schemed?
wouldn't.
She strikes me as one who's well prepared.
I plan. I don't scheme. Not all of us can fly by the seat of our pants.
Well, the trouble is when you try flying by the seat of somebody else's pants.
Oh no, that's actually quite easy, especially if they've left said pants where you can, hoist them up on the mainmast. But
Okay.
anyway.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of just did that to myself and Griveth with a ship.
I enlisted your assistance in a time of emergency and saved your lives, I do believe.
Oh, I believe you asked for our hands and didn't explain that it was for certain purposes.
Well, if you'd have liked, we could have waited around for more Sahuagin blade masters to attempt to cut us to ribbons.
I have been known to slay a dragon.
What?
Yeah, we kind of killed a dragon. Oh, they killed a dragon. I was kind of there.
Or did you? Mm-hmm.
Really?
Why do I get the feeling, Cantriel, that it was mostly your doing?
You wouldn't exactly be wrong with that one.
Well, if you get bored of somebody invoking maritime law without explanations, I might have a little fun for you to help partake in.
Well, I'm
You
always...
kind of look around the table to gauge interest.
I'm just going to tell y'all, watch yourselves closely if you get into bed with this one. I mean that both figuratively and literally.
Oh, do tell. I kid.
I don't think I will.
He couldn't anyway.
Don't you hate when that happens?
I know. So
So,
distressing. Everyone involved, really.
So what is it you're asking?
There is a shipwreck not too far away, rumored to contain some very fine cargo. I was thinking of taking a trip over there myself. Could use some friends.
So, sorry, I turned to our captain. Captain Stark. How long you plan on being in port here?
Well, technically, I'm still under contract to deliver the dwarves and Manistrad into Saltmarsh. If you all want to take up with Ira here, I'm sure it wouldn't be too out of her way to drop you at port in Saltmarsh proper when you're done with whatever it is she's cooking. A shipwreck? Again?
It was so much fun last time.
I still have the scars from that one.
Oh, they make you look dashing and you know it.
Nothing wrong with collecting a few scars, Captain.
When he says that, he sort of stretches in a way that his already sort of open shirt shifts a little bit, and you can see a couple of white lines of scars showing. Like he's used to making that motion to make the scars show up.
When I say that, I point to the visible portion of my scalp and show the burn mark. So nothing wrong with scars.
And she'll lean over to Cantriel. Did he ever tell you how he got those scars?
No, he's been something of a closed book since we've been on board.
He likes to flex them a lot, doesn't he?
It seems to be a often used technique with these human men. Flex a few muscles and see if they can turn a few heads.
You know what else is a common occurrence with human men? Getting drunk and trying to draw their own swords.
Very true. And that usually doesn't end well.
No, but it leaves them with a few scars. And she'll just turn and smile at Stark.
He smiles back at you with that sort of, and downs the rest of his drink. Look, I gotta see to a couple things and get these dwarves in the Saltmarsh. You all decide. You got a few hours to decide if you're going to take up with Ira here, or you're going to ride in the Saltmarsh the rest of the way with me. Either way, I need to go in the Saltmarsh.
These dwarves. And she points at the cousins.
There's actually 25 more. 26, actually.
Oh my god, how do you still have any liquor on board?
Oh.
Is that why we stopped here? Pit stop?
So when you say that, Ira, he actually goes, oh. I hadn't even thought of that. I need to go check in with Victor, which, Ira, you would know that as long as Stark has had the Evangeline, that it came with a first mate by the name of Victor, who just happens to be a spectator. A little green floating orb with 4 eyes that is a guardian of the ship, and you know him because he requires that anybody boarding the vessel, even Stark himself, must first have permission to board before boarding the ship. I need to go check with Victor and check on why did I put the dwarves in the hold? And he kind of stands up and sort of, it was absolutely lovely. If you're going to ride with me, that's great. Otherwise, I'll see you in Salt. I got to go. And he's already heading off to tend to make sure his alcohol supply is good. I would say about this time, Thorgarn, is when Talmud calls you over.
So when I hear him screaming, I'll turn to those still at the table. Excuse me, let me go deal with this. And I trump my little not quite 4-foot frame over to back to the bar.
Okay, so as Thorgarn is coming over, Griveth pushes the stool back or the chair and stands up and says, "I know what I need to do." And he I'm gonna do it. And he walks over, stumbles over to the table, and he turns to Thorgarn and says, "I don't need you anymore." And then walks over to the table and kind of almost crashes into the next table, sending this patrons scooting away. And he's like leans over Cantriel, and he says, "All right, this is it. I'm gonna tell you something, all right?
I'm going to tell you something. Get out of my face, you drunken lout." And she'll shove his face.
It's just that time that Talmud kind of catches up, and he's like, "Okay," and he kind of with him.
So Griveth loses his alcohol all over the table, all in your drinks, all over the table. And then just falls over drunkenly, the most clumsy way he possibly can. And he realizes he's lost control of that not just himself, but of the evil that was inside of him. And as he looks over, he sees what he's left on the table start to steam up into like a black mass of coils and tendrils, and it shoots for Cantriel.
I would like, if I may, to reach out and grab it before it hits Cantriel's face.
Make a dexterity check.
Dex check. Oh, good. Wait a minute. Where's the dex check on here? That's a saving throw.
It's not a saving throw. It's just straight dex, which I think.
No, I'm looking at the stupid character sheet, trying to figure out where I'm going with this. 19.
You catch this steaming black mass. Right, you sort of catch it midway, and it's kind of like a thick, weirdly, though it looks almost tarry and liquid, and it has that sort of death smell that Griveth seems to sort of emanate. Weirdly, it feels like a tree root. It feels like it's got the texture of wood to it, though it moves in your hand. Griveth, I also need you at the same moment to make a wisdom saving throw. At disadvantage because of your drunkenness.
Oh, yeah. He's pretty bad off. Oh. That is a 13.
Griveth, you see suddenly illuminated briefly in a pale purplish light. His eyes roll back into his head, and he begins to slump over, and then you see the massive form of Mother of Pearl swoop in behind him, and with two of her eye stalks sort of reach under his arms. The rest of the eye stalks sort of peer around. I'm sorry about that, but he was getting a bit unruly, and I had to put him to sleep.
Mother, and she'll just hold up the dripping mass in her left hand while she's still drinking her ale with the other one.
What is that?
I don't know, but could you do me a favor and shove it back down his throat?
Or toss them both in the water. And Cantriel's going to get up and walk away.
And she will throw it so that it hits Griveth like right in the middle of his chest and hopefully sticks given the texture.
It sticks for a moment and just sort of almost like that slime stuff sort of walks its way down a little bit. And then it seems weirdly to almost like it just sort of slips in like a liquid into the cracks in or seams of his clothing. Ira, give me I'm going to say at advantage, give me a history check because you're from this region. So, yeah, just a history check at advantage.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. 16.
While you don't know anything per se about the nature of what's happening, Mother of Pearl sort of, she makes with one of her eye stalks to reach out and sort of grab at Cantriel's arm, but she's too slow. She's holding Griveth, and Cantriel's able to walk past. But Mother of Pearl sort of, as she with her eye stalks eases Griveth into a chair and sort of leans him so he's slumped over the table. I don't know what it is with this young man. His stench is foul, and whatever that is, if it came from him, needs to be addressed.
We've tried to make him do it, and he's not much for listening.
In the port town of Saltmarsh, there is a temple. There is an order of monks at this temple that are a holy order. You should take him there. And Ira, you would be familiar with this order of monks. You don't know much about them, but you've seen them around occasionally in the area. They don't take to the sea very much, but you I don't know what that was, Megan, but so all of a sudden Megan's eye and forehead was all that was visible in her window. It was well, if your timing had been a little bit better, it might have been appropriate, because Ira, though you don't see them at the sea very much, this order of monks you've seen around Saltmarsh. They are most noted by their robes, which are white with red vestments and red ribbons that lace up their forearms. And this order is known as the Weeping Friars. Which, for those that are familiar with Mini Terrain Domain, that is a throw to Megan's character in Cholt of Personality.
Did you just say Cholt of Personality?
Yes, that's our Tomb of Annihilation campaign that's been going on. Oh, I forgot how much Kelly loves puns. That's beside the point. Yes, you know that this organization of monks that she refers to is known as the Weeping Friars.
So I'll be more than happy to take this lad there and see what they might be able to do. And I mean, no offense to your suggestion, but we've been straight up told by his goddess, what to do. And again, he's not for listening.
Have you ever considered getting rid of him?
He is useful in a fight.
So are many other people. I don't think somebody that attacks a party member in the middle of a bar is
He
a
wasn't
great person that should be around.
He's not really attacking. He just is overly affectionate for our friend there.
Overly affectionate. Is that what we're calling it?
In his way, it's not very appetizing.
It looked to me like he was trying to force his attention on her. I don't like that.
Not like that, no.
Well, you tell him to keep his hands and whatever that goo is to himself.
We're
I'm going
watching
to
out.
find your friend. And I will get up and walk out looking for Cantriel.
All right.
So can I make a medicine check on to make sure he's actually okay?
Yes.
That is an 18.
Griveth is drunk. He is also under the effects of magical sleep. And will remain so unless he is unless he takes, somebody slaps him awake.
Yeah, I'm not going that far.
Basically, the magic of the sleep effect would wear off after a minute, but he was drunk enough that he's probably at this point sort of snoring from the drink. We'll just say that a kelp forest catastrophe is a very strong drink indeed. You do notice that he also, it's a bit troubling, the fact that he's sort of vomited up this black ichor. Just a bit troubling. And Griveth, I need you to make a I need you to make a wisdom saving throw. This one's just straight up. You're muted.
Sorry. 21.
Okay. Thorgarn, make me a religion check. This is actually the first time you've had an unconscious Griveth that you can actually, kind of take a look at. Take a look into.
It's a 16.
Though you don't know very much about it firsthand, other than your experiences with Griveth's behavior since you've met him, that seem to have escalated a bit, but not too bad. This is more something you learned from Father
Freller.
Yes. So you know of it. This is some sort of corruption.
So I will, in fact, have a brief exchange with the spirit that only I see, over my right shoulder, and I'll begin kind of going back and forth with Father Freller about, what it is that I'm seeing here, and kind of getting his opinion on it. This kind of confirms with what we were seeing, what we were doing, and seeing if he's got any advice that I can do beyond what what we've already been told to do, and that's to deal with the tree.
He basically sort of confirms that this is some sort of an external corruption, and that based on your experiences in the Stone Tooth and Kunjakar, and your encounter with the aspects of Morden and Eldath, and even the spirit of Durgan in the Black, that this is related to whatever happened with the Gulthias tree. This corruption is something that is in him and can only be removed through skill and or magic. It's not something that is like it's not something that's like, if you don't deal with this right now, he's going to die. It's a festering thing that, if left unchecked, will continue for a time. And he says a word that I'm going to say in this realm is a very rare thing, and it's probably the first time you've heard this word, but he describes it as something of a cancer. But it is something that can be dealt with. But he gives you the assurances that he's not going... It's not something that, if you don't deal with it in the next day or two, so you're still able to continue on. His biggest problem is that he's just drunk out of his mind.
Yeah. I know that, some of my companions are quite studious or have learned a lot or traveled a lot. So when next I get a chance, I will consult with Fig and Cantriel about, these things. And for the moment, I'm just kind of gonna step out of the tavern, shake my head at what this man has gotten himself into, and just kind of. I'd love to be at a forge right now, but can't. So I'm just gonna kind of go out where I can see the stars and get some fresh air and do whatever I can.
All right, we're gonna cut over to Ira catching up to Cantriel.
So I don't know, where did Cantriel end up?
Probably like trying to get as opposite direction of the table as she could at the bar.
Okay. So Ida will walk past the bar, and as she does, she snags two drinks from people who weren't paying attention at the time, and just carries them over and kind of hands one or offers one to Cantriel. You okay?
Oh, there have been much better days, of course.
I've had those kind of days.
Yes.
Not always the greatest.
Not at all. And that one's becoming more and more of a interesting situation.
I noticed. I did ask why they hadn't gotten rid of them. Funny, the answers weren't very satisfactory.
Well, they weren't exactly. Yes, he was a good young man, but there's something concerning about him now.
Do you think you can be trusted if I take you on this little adventure?
Trust him? Not after this.
Should we leave him behind? I'm sure I can get Mother to tie him up in the back room. She loves me.
It's a rather, and she'll take a sip. It's a rather tempting offer to get a little bit of a break. However, I don't think that the others would care too much for that one.
I think I could make the clockwork one go along with me, but the dwarves might be a problem.
Yes, and while they are dwarves, they're not exactly the kind that you don't want to associate with. There is some good in them.
I've known many fine dwarves. I've got dwarves in my crew. Got everyone in my crew. Got a gnome in my crew.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
They fit through very tiny spaces.
Yes, quite handy.
It's useful. So what do you think?
The break might be nice.
Convince them?
We could try and see if maybe it might be for his benefit to let him rest a bit. But something tells me that they might want to be sure he comes along. It's more the, whatever's going on with him is enhancing what was going on with him beforehand, where, you know how it is, puppy love and these humans.
Obsession, more like.
That's what it's turned into. Where,
Puppy love is cute.
Yeah, he was cute for about 2 weeks. And even that was debatable.
Well, should you choose to go on this nice little adventure, I might tell you or ask if you've got any way of making yourself hear a little worse.
Making myself hear a little worse?
Or not at all.
What exactly do you mean?
Just where we're going, it might not be great to listen to everything you hear.
Well, I have a bad habit of eavesdropping.
I don't think you'll want to eavesdrop on this.
That is a perfect line to cut to. If this were a TV show, that's like the perfect place to take a commercial break. So we are going to take a brief 10-minute break here. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in. Thank you to Kelly for joining us tonight. This has been some incredible RP. We're going to switch, or rather, we're going to fast forward time a little bit when we come back from the break. I do want to say thank you to those I didn't get to acknowledge yet. KY Hawkeye, thank you for the $10 tip and the 2 domain dice that purchase. Much appreciated. Our patron saint, known as Chameleon Fam or Joey P, his wish is getting closer to being fulfilled to see those domain dice reach 100. And he has personally been responsible for probably at least half of the 76 domain dice that are there. To put that in perspective, with 2 players ended at last session unconscious in Jolt of Personality, they have 4 domain dice. So with that, we are going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to show some video promos during that time, and then we'll come back and we will wrap up this session after the break. Please stick around and we will see you in about 10 minutes. Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is The Intermission. Mini Terrain Domain, or MTD, is a channel dedicated to the love of and participation in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Whether we're designing encounters or miniature terrain, building worlds or dice towers, or just playing games, everything we do here is because we love this amazing hobby. That is why the mission statement of Mini Terrain Domain is simply imagine, build, play. If you like to watch live play or actual play D&D games, you can do so at twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain 3 days a week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays, you can join us for Cult of Personality, a long-running campaign set in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure setting. On Mondays, you can join us for All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign guaranteed to be epic proportion. And every Thursday night, you can join us for Dawnbringers, the Forge of Fury. This is a series of mini campaigns going across the gamut of several well-known modules. Season 1, which is available on youtube.com/Mini Terrain Domain, took place in the Sunless Citadel, and Season 2 is currently taking place the Forge of Fury. If you can't join us in the chat for our live shows, that's okay. You can usually catch the roleplay, or rather the replay, on YouTube just 2 days later. If you're a fan of what we do here and you'd like to support what we do, there are a variety of ways you can do this. First, simply follow the Twitch channel or hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Next, make sure you follow all of the participants of each game or show on their various social media platforms. To do this, if you're watching live with us on Twitch, you can simply type an exclamation point and that person's name into the Twitch chat, or on YouTube, you can look down below the information bar and all of their links can be found there. Finally, if you would like to provide monetary support, which flows right back into the production of the channel so we can continue making great content, you can join the growing list of patrons on Patreon. Additionally, you can also use Ko-Fi or coffee to buy a coffee or two. I like coffee. But the absolute best way to support the channel is to follow and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube and join us in the chat. If you have an Amazon Prime account and you link it to your Twitch account, you can subscribe to one channel per month absolutely free. No matter what you decide to do, we are just happy to have you here. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more great content in just a few moments. Remember, metadata!
Hi everyone, I'm V and I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse. Please be sure to go over there and check it out if you too would like to learn how to make some tabletop terrain, paint miniatures, as well as some game accessories. I'm always happy to have new subscribers over there.
Learn the ways of the Game Master, the Dungeon Master, and delve into the minds of the players. If you're looking for adventure, excitement, thrills, and a dice-rolling good time, grab the modules each month and play the campaign with your gaming group with quest givers DM Scotty and DMG. They're taking you on an epic journey through the role-playing experience every Friday. You're sure to get hooked on adventure.
And we really liked the idea of creating adventures together, so we thought that'd be a lot of fun to share with you guys.
I didn't think this kind of stuff would come out of my brain. We are quest givers, and I'll see you in the next video.
Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is a collection of 4 adventures for the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game. The adventures are setting neutral and meant to be seamlessly dropped into any world that has a large seaside city and a jungle environment. With a bit of adaptation, the environments could be changed to suit any group. In Treaty of the Tiger King by Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, a distant king arrives at the city to negotiate the peaceful end of a war, but the mercenary guild has other insidious plans for him. Will the players be able to thwart assassination attempts against King Rami and help him negotiate circles of social intrigue in order to finally end the war? In Madness of the Majestic Menagerie by Ken Brees of Burling's Beard, the famous Majestic Menagerie draws hordes of visitors to the metropolis and cultural hub known since time immemorial as Splendor by the Sea. But now the gates of the famous zoo have been shut, and the grand opening of the new section has been jeopardized by a spate of mysterious accidents and, it's whispered, grievous injuries due to uncontrollable creatures. Mr. Majestic seeks to hire investigators and troubleshooters who can keep a low profile to iron out any problems before the impending grand opening becomes a complete disaster. Do you have what it takes to uncover what's driving the madness that's befallen the Majestic Menagerie? In The Infernal Collection by Sharang Biswas, when an influential fashion designer is found dead days before a major fashion show, heroes are called in to solve the mystery, prevent any further destruction, and help the fashion house prepare for the show. Gorillas in Their Midst by Jacob W. Norman of Mini Terrain Domain is a pulp action adventure wrought with perilous challenges and high possibility of death. But what is adventure without danger? Of course, there is the lure of vast piles of unclaimed treasure and the accompanying fame that await those intrepid adventurers who would defy the odds and plunge into the heart of darkness. In this adventure, the characters will face raging river rapids, wicked waterfalls, poisonous plants, venomous vines, sinking sands, treacherous traps, and the vicious jungle demon itself, Awakane Gori. Grab your satchels, fedoras, and bullwhips. Adventure awaits. The Adventure Mixtape also comes with 4 original songs inspired by and written for the heroic adventures herein. This collection of music and story is something unique. We had no better word for it than mixtape. If you ever received a cassette, CD, or digital playlist curated to take you on a memorable journey, then you'll recognize what you find inside this volume. Also included in the Adventure Mixtape, courtesy of Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, are exclusive combat cards. Special cards that contain all of the items, monsters, and spellcasters found within these adventures to make running your adventure easier. Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is available exclusively on drivethrurpg.com.
Griveth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Griveth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland, where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Griveth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnate, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous roll tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Broodhammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Griveth are not heroes. In Griveth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on drivethrurpg.com.
And we're back as I pour myself another. So we are going to fast forward. We're going to skip to, we'll say actually it's the next day. And all of the characters are on board a completely different vessel, which I will allow Ira to explain a little bit about this vessel in just a moment. But ultimately, everyone decided to follow Ira on her adventure. Dervish was fine with it and said that he would meet you in Saltmarsh. He is under contract to bring Manistrad and the Dwarves, which sounds like just an amazing metal band, to Saltmarsh. And but Griveth, upon awakening, after actually you wind up sleeping through the night, and when you wake up, you find that you do not have a hangover. You feel better than you felt in quite a while, and this is just mechanically in part to the saving throw you made during that last portion, and some saving throws you've made recently. When I've had you make saving throws, even though you didn't know for sure what you were saving against, you've been able to, possibly the influence of Eldath or Griveth's hardy spirit, perhaps it's the Night of Smite within, has been able to prevent this corruption that has taken root from spreading. But right now, you have no memory of your conversation with Talmud, or rather with the tail end of that conversation, and you definitely don't remember talking to the old sea man, and you don't remember anything about getting up and going to the table, and you don't feel that dark oppression that's been plaguing you for a long time. You feel more yourself than you have in probably 6 or 7 weeks, if not longer. So it is now the next day. You are at sea, and I'm going to have Ira explain what her ship is, what it looks like, and you know you were only traveling about a half a day to this location. I'll explain a little bit more about that after Ira tells us about her ship.
So my ship, which when you approach it in the harbor, in my private dock, is really beautiful. It has 3 masts, beautifully billowing sails. The masthead is like this intricately worked bust of a woman, and she's hiding behind a fan of playing cards. And her hair is coming back and making part of it. It blends into the railings as it goes. And it is called the Blackjack. And I won it off a rich boy who liked to gamble not very well.
Can I ask a stupid question here, Jake?
Sure.
We obviously got all of our stuff that we weren't allowed to.
Yeah, Dervish didn't take off with your stuff. You absolutely would have had time to go back and get all of your gear. And you know, Ira, that the location you are taking everybody to is a very small island that is actually not very noteworthy. It's got, there's a little bit of a cove, a little bit of elevation to it, some rocky outcroppings, trees, but a recent storm caused the waters to push up and reveal just a little bit of a previously unknown wreck. And that is the shipwreck and you were the one to spot it when you were sailing the Blackjack towards the saltwater sanctuary. So you and your crew are really the only ones that, as far as you know that this thing is even here. What, if anything, would you tell the Dawnbringers about where you're headed?
Well, would I know, like I know that I know the name of the shipwreck, but does Ira know the name of the shipwreck? Would she have seen it?
Give me a history check. I don't know why. That's the only check other than a dex check I've had you make all night. Just keep checking your knowledge.
It's like my only thing that I don't have a bonus to. 13. I would have said investigation as I was sailing by, but I defer to the team.
Well, you know, that's a fair argument. If you would have tried to get a closer look while sailing by, I will allow you to use your investigation.
Hot diggity damn, I have the same exact 0 bonus. 16.
Okay, that is enough for for you to have seen the name of the ship on what remained of the hull. And before we go, I meant to do this as we came back from the break. I want to acknowledge I can't say that name. LIXXSPIKEXXLL. Thank you for cheering the 1,000 bits. I owe you guys 2 more domain dice. You are at 78 domain dice. I don't know if that's the highest or not, but okay.
I don't know what I do with those.
There is the word spike in there with all of those L's and X's. So it's spike.
I don't know what to do with all that. I just
all the domain dice?
Yes. I'm just going to eat them all.
They're not edible.
Don't scream if you should reroll.
Are you sure?
They do work differently than the last. They work differently.
Reroll. Use the domain dice.
Yeah, you can reroll and stuff like that.
They
It's
do
fine.
work differently than. Well, Kelly has used domain dice, but they work differently than during Jasper's. It's reroll and take the new roll. You can't burn through them quite like you did before. But
well, at the end we had like 20, so we were just like,
yeah.
flying through.
Well, and they were for they were $20, and they were for a good cause. So yes, you, Ira, do know the name of the shipwreck.
Which is good, because I have to tell you, like, as Kelly, that this shipwreck is named after my favorite sign in The Witcher. So I was just like, as soon as I saw it. So Ira will be on deck with everybody except Griveth, who I assume is still in the brig. I don't know. And she'll be kind of leaning over the front of the masthead. So where we're going, it's a ship called the Quen. So it went down, I don't even know how long ago. Rumor has it that it was carrying some very nice cargo. So when I was sailing by on my way back from my last adventure, I thought, let's go have a look at this. But there were obstacles that even my amazing abilities weren't able to conquer on my own. And she will, as she's been talking to them, she's been tearing the strip of cloth into 8 pieces. And she will, like small pieces, small strips. And she will walk around and give 2 strips to each person. If you know what's good for you, put those in your ears. And then she'll just turn back and like do the heroic captain pose over the masthead with like the hair blowing in the wind.
So,
did you mean to tear enough for each person, or did you mean to leave somebody out?
Somebody's still in the brig.
Oh, I'm just checking.
Out of sight, out of mind.
So, Captain, if you don't mind me asking.
I'm looking heroic over here.
Well, I mean, feel free to look heroic and answer at the same time. But 2 questions. What things might we be encountering over there? And what's the split look like?
I should have expected one of the dwarfs would bring it up.
It is something we do.
Well, I found it I know about the dangers. Scouted ahead. 60-40.
$60 going to whom?
To her.
Well, to me, of course. It's my ship, my information. I didn't have to give you the earplugs.
Surely, if the dangers weren't that bad, this is something that you could have done on your own. So you're relying on us for something. And furthermore, we're going to have to split that cut amongst all of our numbers.
Yes, but here's the thing, friend dwarf. It's money you wouldn't have had I not found you.
It's money you wouldn't have had if you hadn't brought us along.
Says who?
It's money you wouldn't have had if you didn't say yes.
It's also danger that we wouldn't have had if we didn't come either.
It's danger you could have avoided if you didn't say yes.
Friend Thorgarn, you don't look to me like a dwarf who doesn't enjoy danger.
It is true. I'm okay. This is your ship and you're fine. Just, you got to try and negotiate every once in a while and see how it goes.
And I completely understand. Why don't we say we're going to start at the basis of a 60-40 split? And we'll see how much that can change depending on contributions.
So a sliding scale.
Sliding scale.
I don't see why not. After all, you haven't seen us in action. You don't know what we can actually do.
Exactly, and you wouldn't be able to get any of the treasure without my ship.
Very true. Quite reasonable.
It's a much nicer ship than Virgil's, isn't it?
Oh, very much so.
I know.
So,
have any locked doors?
Does it have any what?
Do you have any locked doors in your ship?
I have doors that can lock. Would you like me to go lock one?
No. Well, in Dervish's ship, I wasn't allowed to go into all of the rooms, and that made me quite upset.
Oh, Prometheus, you can go anywhere you like.
Ira, due to your previous relationship with Dervish, we'll say that you know your way around his ship quite intimately. And you know that amongst the capability that Griveth and Cantriel were sort of keelhauled into, the ability of the ship to teleport magically, that the ship also has disguised cannons that have certain magical properties, of which Fig had previously in the last session had discovered one, though she did not know what they were. You know that the ship actually has 4 of these cannons with dragon's heads cast in iron. You also know that in the lower hold of the ship, there is a door that has a special symbol on it, the same symbol that is on the sails, belonging to the Selvane Aetherlock, who was one of the legendary band of heroes known as the Vieros from many, many years ago. You know what nobody else knows, that this is a dangerous lock. You know that somebody of Dervish's crew that attempted to open this lock was struck dead in an instant. And it came with the ship, and nobody has ever been able to open this door.
Prometheus, you have to make me a promise. If you go back on Virgil's ship, you are not to try to unlock that door. Can you promise?
They already made me promise. They said it was rude.
It's not rude, friend. It's dangerous. To you.
Oh. Thank you for the warning. I will keep that in mind. And
I'm not sure how it would affect you necessarily. But all I know is that 1 minute the man was standing there, and the next minute the man was a pile of ashes on the floor.
Oh. That is quite unfortunate. I do not wish to be like that.
No, you can't take down much history if you're a pile of ashes on the floor.
No.
Plus, it's not like Virgil has anything interesting on his ship anyway. It's very boring. Even his bed sheets are normal. They're not even satin.
I did not go into his bedroom.
Oh, good for you.
You would actually. I have a question.
Yes.
With Griveth, with Griveth in the brig, did you just sort of lock him in this little jail cell with his belongings, or just for so he could sober up, or is he stripped of his weapons and gear?
At the moment, I would say I don't think that he has his weapons and gear. I think they would be right outside.
Classic Captain Jack Sparrow trying to convince the dog to bring him the key.
However, instead of a dog, there is a large ogre sitting outside his jail cell.
I like it.
And the thing with Iraq is that he's too dumb to be persuaded to do anything. It's a perfect jailer. And please do try to dig your way out. It's fantastic.
So, Griveth, you find yourself, when you awakened, you're on this ship, and you are in this cell without your weapons and gear, though you can see them just outside, stacked neatly next to the hulking form of an ogre that seems like it's snoring. And then you realize its beady little eyes are staring right at you. And it's not snoring, it's growling.
So, I don't have any memory of what happened yesterday, right?
Nope. And you don't feel any of the taint of corruption. This would be what would be considered a good day.
Okay.
Aside from the hole in the brig.
So I think what immediately comes to Griveth's mind is that Thorgarn must have done something. He must have figured something out to help me, because I do feel better. It's like, but how did I get in this cell? That's weird. I'm on a ship. So I kind of lean forward a little bit at the edge of the cell and kind of growl at the ogre. What's your name?
You shut up.
Do you realize?
Captain said you wasn't to speak. If you keep talking, I'm gonna punch you in your nose.
Do you realize that you speak to an emissary of Eldath?
I don't know what an Eldath is.
You oafish beast. Now give me my gear.
When you call him an oafish beast, the ogre goes,
well, thank you.
Don't make me do this the hard way.
Please, do hard way. I loves the hard way.
You fear the gods. Only fools don't fear the gods.
I fears nothing.
You better.
Man.
Okay, so so Griveth like stares at the beast, and his eyes begin to glow like with a silvery light. What does the beast? What does he do? What does the ogre do?
He is staring back at you.
It's not affecting him at all.
Your eyes are glowing?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not reacting in any way.
Okay. So I call on the power of my goddess, and I command him to give me my gear. So I point at my gear and I say, "Give!" And my voice like booms, and it almost shakes the cavern with the force of the power of Eldath. So I'm commanding the ogre to give me my gear.
What's the saving throw on that?
Let me tell you here. Get the character sheet. Where are you, character sheet? It is. Darn it. Where is it? Sorry, guys. Oh, crap.
I will say while you're looking that up, on deck,
I'm assuming I would have heard that.
Your lookout at this moment has called from above. You hear, "Land!" I would imagine normally you would hear "land ho," but many of your crew have been chastised about using that term, as he just says, "Land!"
Good job. You're learning.
And you can see now that your destination is visible on the horizon, and that you will be there in a very short time.
I will command my first mate, who is a half-orc, to get us within longboat range and then drop anchor.
Aye, Captain.
I will then take a look at everybody and say, enjoy yourselves. It's always lovely the first time you pull up on a shipwreck. And I will turn and head down towards the brig.
Griveth, what was your saving throw? Or your DC, rather? Muted.
Wisdom 14, sorry.
So that is a 17 on the die with a -2 to wisdom, so that's a 15.
Reroll.
Are you spending domain dice?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Reroll.
And Cantriel probably warned him ahead of time and gave him some bardic inspiration.
That is an 18 on the die, which is now a 16. Using my lovely Atcon D20. So as you command the ogre to get your gear, it looks over at the gear, reaches a hand towards it, and then with its other hand slams into the bars next to you.
Captain says no.
And I would imagine this is about the time, Ira, that you're heading down. As you see Uruk slamming into the bars, and you see Griveth sort of looking kind of tiny, facing off, chest out against this massive ogre of yours.
All right.
Captain.
Good job.
Thanks.
I'm very proud of you. You've come so far.
Proud.
Very proud.
Do you realize who you've jailed? I am a champion of Eldath. Free me! Or face the wrath of my goddess.
I have to believe...
Go ahead.
I have to believe that Cantriel would have warned you of Griveth's tendency to say things like this.
Oh, yes. It doesn't matter what he says. She already knows what she's going to do. So as she's like kind of patting the ogre on the face. I'm assuming Griveth is, standing up and trying to look all manly behind the bars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to shoot one hand through the bars and grab him by the collar and slam him up against the bar so his face hits it.
Okay, I want to grab her arm and twist it because I'm good at wrestling.
This is true. Griveth is known as the Knight of Smite and has a history of wrestling. This is going to be an opposed. I will let you use your dex or your strength.
So acrobatics or athletics, or how do you want to do it?
Yes, acrobatics or good lord. Athletics.
That's a different game.
I have not been drinking.
Acrobatics.
Okay.
22.
What'd you get?
22.
Oh, geez. Okay, I got an 18.
So, Griveth, you find that. Well, actually, I'll let Ira explain how she uses her dexterity to prevent you from getting the upper hand on her.
So I'm going to reach out and grab him, and as I pull him towards the bars, I see his hand coming up. So I just let go long enough so his hand whiffs, and then I reach out and grab his collar again and twist my hand and just slam his face up against the bar.
Ugh.
And I'm going to kind of lean not too close because he smells awful. And I'm going to say, look, I didn't even want you here. Your behavior was disgusting.
Where are my friends? What have you done with them? Are they in cells too? Why'd you separate us? Have you done anything to Cantriel? Have you done something to Cantriel, you sea witch? I'll cast you to the bottom of the sea.
Right now, I don't think you could cast anything.
Well, that's true.
And if I was whatever god you worship, I would be despising you. You're pitiful.
Perhaps I am.
Your behavior was disgusting. You tried to assault Cantriel in the middle of a bar?
What? I would never.
You did.
You lie, witch.
I don't.
You don't
Everyone saw you.
You don't look like
The
you're
entire
lying.
bar saw you. And the beholder had to put you to sleep.
Oh, what? Ugh.
If I catch you doing anything to make anyone else uncomfortable, you will wish you were back in the break. Got it?
Understood.
And then I will let him go. Or I'll give him 5 minutes, throw a bucket of water over him, and let him out.
Aye, Captain.
Griveth, I need you to make a. This is going to sound weird, but a religion saving throw.
I'm still stuck on athletics. I'm sorry. I'm really.
That was a rum slip.
That sounds like a good drink.
And for those, yes, it does. For those wondering, a religion saving throw is I'm just making him make a saving throw, and add his wisdom or religion modifier to that. You're muted. You're unprecedented in your mute talking tonight, Scotty.
So it's just the religion with the bonus, right? No other saving
Yeah,
throw.
you just roll your d20 and add your religion bonus to it.
Okay, 18.
You sense, as Ira says the words, if I was whatever god you worship, it sort of turns your mind for a moment towards Eldath. And you can't help but remember the last time that you saw her standing side by side with Moradin in that cavern with the manifested waterfall in Kundrakar. And it's almost like you're there again, but this time you see her looking at you, and as Ida says these words, you just see Eldath just hanging her head slightly and shaking it back and forth. And you feel a bit of shame washing over you. There's no other aspects to that, but you definitely feel as if your god is telling you something about the way you are isn't right. And it sort of lends credence to Ida's specific words. As you're thinking this, and you sort of snap out of it, and you see Eldath in the aspect of the waterfall comes rushing towards you, and you are coated in cool seawater as Uruk dumps a bucket over your head and reaches out with a heavy set of keys, unlocking the door and letting you out.
Please tell me I at least left a mark on his face with the bar.
Yes, you also have a little bit of a red vertical red mark down one side of your face where you were pulled up against the bars. It's less from the impact and probably more from a slight infection from whatever is on these bars.
I keep a very clean ship.
Okay, it's from the impact.
Thank you. It's Lysol Daily.
What is Lysol? It's prestidigitated daily.
No, Lysol's the crewman who goes and cleans it all.
Yeah.
That is now canon that the Blackjack has a crew member named Lysol.
What do you think the gnome is?
Oh my gosh. Lysol the gnome. His entire job. He's the cabin boy. Or girl. I love it. So Griveth is able to get all of his stuff.
I feel so bad. I'm just like throwing all these random NPCs and
Hey.
to play.
I have the VOD to refer back to, so I can write all this down. You are now approaching your first mate, the half orc. When you come back up, says
Sengo
says,
Captain,
Yes.
we're in longboat range. Anchors are down. Longboats have been dropped.
Brilliant. I need you to make sure that everything stays fine here while I go over there.
Oi, Captain.
Good deal.
and
If it needs washing, please call Lysol.
he immediately sort of snaps his heels and then takes off, and you just hear him, Lysol, where are you? And he sort of, anytime you put him in charge, he loves it and immediately starts barking orders at the others, but they do as they're told. And you and the others are free to embark on the longboat and head towards the wreck. Who is going to do the actual rowing? There are 6 of you now on this ship. At least 3 of you need to row. Griveth has so graciously volunteered.
Fig would as well.
Thorgarn and Fig.
You don't want Cantriel on this one.
I'm not going to make you roll to see if you can. Actually, you know what? Realizing none of you have been at sea, I am going to make you row. Because I have something devious up my sleeve. So I need all 3 of you to make an athletics check.
They're doing that. Talmud is holding on to both gunnels and just like trying to keep himself as equidistant between them as he can with his arms. And he's just kind of got his eyes closed and just trying his best not to upchuck.
Ida, you've noticed that ever since stepping on your ship, that Talmud has not, he's been green. He definitely does not take to the sea very well.
You okay there, buddy?
Doing fine. Just fine.
I can go get some soup for you if you want.
No, thank you.
I think they just made some nice stew. Some fish?
No.
Nothing?
Nope. I'm fine. Let's just get this over with, shall we?
Okay.
Fortunately, 2 of the 3 rowers were able to pull their own weight. Griveth, compared to Fig and Thorgarn, it's a good thing he's in the middle of the 3 rowers, so nobody really notices that his oars are, every time they hit the water, they sort of fold over and cut through the water like blades, so they're not really doing the actual work. But you're able to make it over towards, you start approaching, and you get within about 100 feet of the shipwreck. And with the tide having come down a bit, you can actually see part of it, the hull, the stern, with draped in seaweed, is peeking up a little bit. Just beyond it is this very small island with an outcropping of rock rising up. And it's here. You can see a few seagulls flying around. You see some cormorants making quite a loud racket on the nearby rocks and are perched up around the stern of this ship. And you can just, with the tide low, make out the name on the stern. You can see the Quen, and what's left of what was probably once very neatly scribed on there. Cantriel, you immediately would recognize that this vessel is one of elven construction. Whatever this ship, the Quen, was, it was an elven ship. Ira, you know that you're aware of what potential dangers lie. How would you like to proceed? You are now about 100 feet out from the wreck itself.
She will, I'm so sorry, will take out her strips of cloth that she tore and kind of roll them up and put one in one ear, one in the other, and then take one of the very fashionable scarves that are hanging off her belt and tie it up around her head so that the earplugs stay in. And she'll turn around and look at everyone else. I really suggest you do the same.
Griveth, you would notice as the others are all putting bits of cloth in their ears that they appear to have already had. What would you like to do?
I'm not going to worry about it.
Okay. Do you continue, Ira, do you have them continue to row towards the shipwreck?
I would like to find the part of the shipwreck that is the closest listing towards the water that would make the easiest point of entry.
So you can see that now with the tide low, you see a large portion, probably about 6 feet up on the starboard side and only a couple feet on the port side. So the stern is up and it's listing a little bit to port, and you can see just the bowsprit, part of the broken bowsprit, and you see a bit of an elven masthead peeking up through the water. It looks like the quarterdeck itself is probably the best point to enter on there, though any actual entry into the ship is probably going to be involved going underwater.
Well, are you all ready for some adventure? I hope you can hold your breath.
What'd she say?
She will mime holding her breath. Yeah. And then she will jump over the side of the boat.
Oh, hells no. No.
I pushed Talmud in.
That would be a contested strength check.
I'm not even gonna roll.
That would be Talmud immediately goes overboard.
I go in after him and start, trying to follow the sea elf. With, trying to move him along, obviously.
So we're not wearing armor or anything?
I left mine on the boat.
Since joining on the Sea Adventures, Thorgarn has not been wearing his heavy armor under the advisement of the captain. So that's up to you.
I thought you were going to say pants, and that was going to be a problem.
Well,
No, it's up to you. If you are wearing heavy armor, I think you would be smart enough to know not to go into the water. Fig, you don't have to worry about breathing. The water depth here appears to be approximately 50 feet.
I feel like before Fig jumps in, he sees that Ira breathed in, and so he would kind of try to mimic that, even though he doesn't have to breathe at all. But he would also just like cover his face and jump in.
Doesn't even need to breathe, yet I immediately picture Fig like holding his nose and jumping in like a little cannonball. Talmud, are you sinking? Are you thrashing? Are you wearing armor?
I'm a barbarian. I don't wear armor.
What?
I'm a barbarian. I don't wear armor.
Oh, that's right.
Some barbarians wear armor.
However,
some barbarians.
What weapons do you have with you?
I have Gerta and Ghost Cleaver.
Staying afloat is difficult. I'm going to need an athletics check if you're going to try to stay afloat.
Okay, I'm going to take disadvantage on it because Talmud does not know how to swim, not even a little bit.
Excellent.
My athletics is pretty good, and not just, of course. So my low roll was a 15.
Which is...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say a 15 is exactly what I set the DC at.
Okay.
So surprisingly... though through no particular athletic ability of your own, it's more the salt content of the water. You're able to maintain a certain buoyancy. Though it's kind of like your face is sticking up through the water, your beard and face, and you're just sort of kind of moving in the direction. As now, Griveth and Cantriel, Thorgarn, did you go in the water?
Yeah, I pushed him in and then went in to make sure that he doesn't just sink.
So Griveth and Cantriel still in the longboat. You, Cantriel, in particular, see Ira as she dives in, just sort of almost splashless, goes into the water and just glides effortlessly below the surface, rippling just underneath that little bit of water displacement, or not water displacement, surface tension. As she goes just below the surface and just sort of just moving effortlessly through. What do you do, Cantriel?
I put my bow across my back and make sure I have my quiver sealed up and follow suit.
Are you sure, Cantriel, that we want to get wet? Says your mother, the bow.
Unless you have another idea, Mother. I think we have to get in the water to get to the point.
And even though it's telepathic communication and she is a spirit inside your bow, you hear in your mind just a sigh as you dive into the water. Griveth, you're the only one left on the longboat.
I immediately jump in after Cantriel.
Okay. Everybody's in the water. Fig, you are rapidly, unless you try to swim, you are just dropping to the bottom.
How far down is the bottom?
50 feet.
50 feet. He would just walk on the bottom.
Excellent. Yeah, so as in Ira, you would see this clearly underwater. As you see everybody sort of splash in, you see this sort of, and then you see the form of Fig in the water begin just, and then you see a cloud of sand just go, and you hear that sort of muffled thump as he touches down, and then he just every time you step, Fig, a little cloud of sand kicks up. Nearby, a section of the sand raises and a manta ray swims away. All of you begin moving towards the wreck of the Quinn. You can see eventually anybody that looks underneath. The water here is incredibly clear. It's shallow. It's just this sort of Caribbean blue from the surface, and underwater everything is just clear. Any of the seaweed and kelp that you can see underneath is just this bright green. Everything fades into this, from this Caribbean blue into a deeper blue at certain distances, and then you can see the shadow of the wreck of the Quinn. You see pieces of it, one of its masts lying lengthwise in the water. And you can see that despite the fact that this ship is lying heavily in the sand, it appears to be mostly intact. There don't appear to be any breaks or breaches in the hull itself. Is anybody so we know Idra and Fig are underwater. Griveth, Thorgarn, Talmud, Cantriel. Talmud we know is near the surface. Are you guys trying to just, how are you swimming there? Are you swimming sort of on the surface? Are you sort of trying to dive under and see what you can see?
I'm trying to follow Ira.
Yeah, that's a futile effort unless she doubles back to allow you to follow her. Anybody that looks underwater, you see this already on land. Idra moves with a certain grace and litheness. Underwater, it's almost as if she's a part of the water. And weirdly, the sort of greenish blue hue of her skin blends with the water, and you see almost this ghostly apparition with these white modeling standing out in a relief as her sort of tattered long coat lingers behind her. Despite the fact that she wears the clothes, they don't seem to slow her down at all as she moves through the water. So I think, based on just that aspect alone, Ira, you're going to be the first.
Ira will actually, before she even does that, she's going to swim straight down to Fig and like hang upside down in the water and look at Fig upside down and kind of laugh that there's bubbles, so that she blows bubbles in his face, and then spins around and heads back up towards the ship.
You would just see Fig kind of do like this little mechanical wave.
So yes, she will pop up on the part of the deck that she can reach.
All right, you pop up and you find that the majority of the quarterdeck and part of the main deck itself is mostly submerged until you move towards the port side, or rather the starboard side. I don't remember which one I said, but the one side that's higher up. Then you can sort of, with the exception of the dwarves, everybody else could stand there. The quarterdeck you're able to find purchase. But the entrance to the lower holds is going to be submerged.
I will wait for everybody to join me in breathable air.
It takes a few moments. Fig, you arrive and you find that the ropes and part of the rigging are intact on the side of the ship, that if you wanted to, you would be able to climb up the hull of the ship. And the water, despite, even though you have a heavy weight, the water still sort of acts like a low gravity. So you're able to just kind of move a little bit easier through this. And you pull yourself up. And I need everybody to make a perception check.
Perception.
Even Cantriel? Just double checking.
That's cocked. Okay.
Cantriel, you do not need to make one. Actually, I'm going to actually say, based on this roll, probably nobody needs to make a roll, because does anybody have a passive perception lower than 9? Cantriel has a ridiculous 19, I believe. Although 18. Although I believe Ida is not that far behind with her passive.
Yeah, I have a passive of 17.
As you sort of emerge up, and it's due in no small part to Talmud's sort of eagerly thrashing to get stable purchase on the deck of this ship. You hear something coming from the outcropping as you see several dark forms take to the air. In particular, you hear very faintly, though Griveth, you hear it more so than everybody else. As these forms take to the air, one form stands on the outcropping of the rock, looking over the ship. As you hear this sort of, except much more beautiful, because I cannot sing. I sing like Kelly Maths, I'll put it that way. Singing was one of the talents that was left away from me. I have a negative modifier in that. So just imagine a most beautiful song, and I need... There you go. I need everybody to make a wisdom saving throw at advantage, except Griveth, you will make it straight because you do not have your... Actually, Fig, what did you do to cover your ears?
Actually, no one needs to make a wisdom saving throw because I'm standing near everyone and the power of Eldath is emanating from me, protecting their minds from charm. I have devotion aura.
All of you find that whatever this song is, and as beautiful as it sounds, the first several notes, it transitions from those lovely notes that Kelly sang to what I'm about to do. And seeing that none of you react, there's a rush of wings as this single form takes up in a spiral. It is the form from the top up of a haggard-looking nude woman, and from the midsection down looks like some sort of bird, and she is surrounded by... Kelly, would you please roll me 1d8?
D8 is the one that has 8 sides. Hold on. Yeah, that has 8 sides. Yeah. Oops. 8.
Surrounded by 8 other winged forms.
To be fair, I roll natural ones like all the time, and
well, welcome to Mini Terrain Domain, where I make my players roll for the number of monsters, or in Thorgarn's case, people who died in a orc onslaught. So I would like you all to roll for initiative as the harpies and the harpy matron are attacking. And I will roll. Let's see. We got 1.
Oh man, this background is nice.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. I'm gonna roll twice. Oh boy, you guys aren't gonna like this. And then for them, I'm loving D&D Beyond. I can have multiple tabs open. Okay, Griveth, what did you get?
I got a 12.
All right, Fig.
I got a 17.
So I see you guys put them in the chat, but I can't. My eyes aren't focusing over there. Talmud.
Got a dirty 20.
Thorgarn.
7.
7.
7.
Cantriel.
21.
Ira.
25.
Okay, so it is going to be Ira, the Harpy Matron, Cantriel, Talmud, the rest of the Harpies, Fig, Griveth, and Thorgarn. So, Ira, as these harpies that you knew to expect, though you don't know why their song has absolutely no effect whatsoever, even beyond your ear coverings, and perhaps you think it's the ear coverings, you know that these things are coming in and that they are vicious protectors of their territory. What would you like to do? You're muted.
I didn't expect to be the first.
You rolled a 25.
Person?
I didn't expect to be first.
I don't roll that high.
This is uncharacteristically not how Kelly rolls.
They're still flying above us, right?
They've just taken to the air. We will say that they are... I'm going to put them, because they took to the air and started moving towards you, I'm going to call it 30 feet.
This is a bad idea, but I don't get fun things very often. You see Iris start to kind of laugh, like under her breath, and she reaches behind her under her cloak and pulls out a small item that looks, well, I mean, the dwarves would know, suspiciously like a bellows. She will then pump the bellows. Let me double check how many times I have to do this. She will pump the bellows 4 times and cast Wind Wall, pushing out towards the harpies. So the wall is 15 feet high, 1 foot thick, and stretching out in a curve, with the curve towards the harpies. When it appears, each creature within its area must make a strength saving throw. The creature takes 3d8 bludgeoning damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one.
Okay.
Here's the one that gave it to me.
You rolled it.
I did.
I used one of those DM's Guild modules. I think it's called something about 50 treasures and magic items and stuff for Saltmarsh. So I need to make for the harp. You said it was a strength. Right? So the harpies.
And so yeah, I have no idea what the DC would be.
It's 15. It should say that on there. DC. It's DC 15 on all of the spells.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I see it now.
And the harpy matriarch. So the harpies all sort of slam into this wall. The harpy matriarch, the one leading the call, is completely caught off guard. Her wings were unfurled. So roll your damage. She failed miserably, so I'm going to have you roll 1 extra d8 just for her. And what is I'll check the duration on that. 1 minute. As you all see, as Idra just pulls out this bellows and just... And from this little tiny bellows, this massive wall of air, you can see it almost as a disturbance in the air as it curves around and rises up. And you see as all of these harpies slam into this invisible force. And you can almost hear this.
And it makes my hair and my coat glow very heroically.
Yes. What's the damage on that?
Every harpy takes 20. The matron takes 22. Please tell me I just smushed like 8 harpies, because that would be so fun.
They all go flying backwards. All of the harpies go flying backwards towards the rock outcroppings. Some of them begin scrabbling against the rock outcroppings. You see feathers flying. Some of them are wounded from crashing into this rock outcropping. How much damage was it to the matron?
Matron is 22.
All right.
That was the only bad roll below 6 that I got on that die.
Okay, but they are all still active. Is that all you're going to do? It is an action to
I'm
use
a
that.
rogue, so I'm going to bonus action hide. I think that's what rogues do.
Yep.
You go
Where
duck behind
are you going
something.
to hide?
Didn't you say there was part of the mast still here?
Yep.
Yep, I'm gonna go up against the mast and do the really cool pose.
All right, just give me a stealth roll.
Stealth roll is the thing with the 27.
You slide, just sort of half diving and half moving through the water, and immediately you hide your form behind the broken mast. The harpy matriarch.
Is this what it's like to roll well? I want this all the time.
The harpy matriarch recovers and swoops in, and you see her looking around specifically for Ira. I need to check something real quick. The strong wind keeps fog, smoke, and other gases at bay. Small or flying creatures and objects can't pass through the wall.
Dun dun dun!
And it's 15 feet high.
15 feet high and a foot thick.
So
and it curves around. It curves around us at about 50 feet long.
She flies over it.
It's like that old song, can't go under, can't go.
And dives down because it's only 15 feet high. She has a fly speed of 40, so she flies up over it and dives down. And with her only able to see 5 targets, I'm going to roll a d6, re-rolling on a 6, re-rolling on a 6. So that is 1, 2. I'm pointing at you can't see, but I'm pointing on the screen. 1, 2. Fig is going to get attacked as she comes flying towards the shiny thing. And you see that she's wielding a large piece of broken driftwood in one hand. As she swipes in, one of her claws comes up and attempts to strike you, Fig, for a 14. So as her claw strikes you, you are going to take...
Hold on a sec. I'm going to deflect that.
Okay, so that's disadvantage. That's still a 14. I rolled a 12 on the second roll. You try to get up in there, and she sort of arcs around with her wings. The claw cuts through to Fig, dealing 6 + 1, 7 points of slashing damage. You hear this rending sound of the claws across the metal of your structure, and then this piece of driftwood swings in at you for a natural 20. Which, the way we do net... Who said that?
Reroll.
I guess it doesn't matter who said it. I have to do it. So that takes you guys from 76 to 74, because I can math. So I'm going to re-roll the same die. That is now a 19 on the die. It's not a crit, so I guess that's something. So you're going to take another 3 points of bludgeoning damage as you hear this sort of clang as she follows through. And she is now immediately amongst all of you. And so that was Cantriel. It's your turn.
All right. Seeing this mother harpy coming into our little zone of windy safety, she's going to narrow her eyes. Looking at her, and her eyes are going to get more and more of an intense green. And she's going to narrow them and sing to her, I have truth on my side, you only have defeat, and cast Bane upon the mother.
Ooh, Bane. All right.
Baning. Yep, we're going to Bane her. She has to make a charisma saving throw.
Charisma save. Ooh, that's probably going to be a fail. That's a total of 5.
Yeah, you've been baned.
So that's a D4 subtracted from her D20 rolls.
Yep, from attack and savings.
Okay. Anything else, Cantriel?
She'll then turn to Talmud, pat him on the back. Right, your turn. And give him Bardic Inspiration.
And Talmud, it is indeed your turn. Right now, the matron is the only one in melee range. All the others are through the wind wall and are about 30 feet away.
And I have reached this the aft castle or whatever to stand on? Or am I still in the water?
No, you were able to get your footing. You're standing sort of on the amongst everybody else on the quarter deck. You're basically in, for you, what would be knee-deep water.
All right. So Talmud is kind of just standing up onto his feet. He looks like a drowned cat. Just completely miserable. And as he sees all of this kind of unfolding around him, he's kind of trying to figure out exactly what's happening. And as he does so, the tattoos on his arms and across his face start to glow with this familiar blue. And a face kind of comes out of his face, still kind of spectral and glowing. And this is a face that nobody here in the group has seen before. It's of a young female dwarf. And Talmud begins sobbing. No, this can't be how it happens. No. And Talmud's going to move away from the harpy, and he's going to draw Ghost Cleaver, the axe, and basically kind of hold it defensively out in front of him. And as an action, I'm going to ready an action. If anything closes with me, I'm going to attack it.
Okay. Talmud manifesting a new ancient ancestor of his barbarian nature.
You just see Ira's head poke up over the mast and stare at him. Okay. And she kind of sticks her head back down.
It is now the rest of the harpies. There are 8 of them, and I'm going to 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have enough D20s here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7. I'm gonna see if any of them can see. You rolled a. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember what you rolled for your stealth roll to hide.
27.
Oh, geez, never mind. They're not gonna see you. I was thinking for some reason it was like 19 or something. So unfortunately, there's 1 harpy for each of you except for Ira. And there are, let's see, so that's 5, and then 2 are going to go for Cantriel, 2 are going to go for Griveth, and 2 are going to go for Talmud. Before they attack Talmud, one of the 2 closing with you triggers your held action.
He is going to swing this axe of Durgan in the black around as it closes. And Cantriel, what is your Bardic Inspiration die? Is it a D6 still?
No, it's bumped up to 8.
D8? Okay, thank you. Okay, so that is... I'm going to spin that. So that's a dirty 20.
Okay, yep. That is definitely a hit.
Excellent. So this axe comes around and connects with this harpy as it closes. It's not a strong swing. It's more of a kind of getaway swing. It's going to deal 8 points of slashing damage.
All right. And when you do so, there's a burst of blood and feathers as Ghost Cleaver is also a harpy cleaver.
Yes. Get away! Get away!
All right, so let's see. It was 2 against Griveth, 2 against Cantriel, 2 against Talmud, 1 against everybody else. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll a bunch of D20s. Griveth, that is a As they come in with their claws, the first attack is a 12, which I don't know. Does that hit you, Griveth?
Sorry, no.
And then the second attack is a 18.
Reroll it.
It's like you got domain dice to burn or something.
Yeah, I think.
That 18 becomes a 5. So
Okay.
it just clangs against your shield. And let's see. So Fig, one comes swooping at you and misses. The second one, Griveth, oh wait, the first attack misses. The second is a crit, Fig.
Reroll.
Oh, you know what? I only took 1 die. You guys, it costs 2 dice when you make me reroll. So there's 2 more for rerolling that crit, which is another 4. So that's misses against you. Thorgarn, one swoops in at you, and that is a 16 to hit. And 2 16s. I rolled 2 13s, so
They both hit.
so that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Where'd my other D4 go? 4. So you're going to take a total from these 2 attacks of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 points of slashing damage as talons just rake through you as they go flying by. The 2 attacking Talmud are a 14 and a 15 for the first one. The first one does 2 attacks.
The 15 hits.
Okay, so the 15 does 2, 6, 7 points of slashing damage. The second one attacks for a 21 and a 16. Both of those hit. So that is going to be Talmud. You take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 slashing damage. This is where I finally come to the side of make your stupid D4s all be on the same side where the damage is. These dice are all over the place. I'm trying to read them. And finally, Cantriel, 2 more harpies. And at this point, there are feathers and half-naked, half-bird lady. That's a weird half-naked, half-bird ladies flying in amongst you. Completely feral as their hair stringy with oils and water and just amongst all of you. And Cantriel, that is an 18 and a 19 to hit.
Reroll 1.
So that's going to take us down to 68. So that's going to be a 18 and a 10. So only one of those is going to hit you. So you're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slashing damage as the harpies just come as one, all of them following the matriarch and going over this wind wall. They come in amongst all of you, and you see this, Ira, from where you are, as the harpies are just coming in. Several of these allies are just getting shredded, though they are definitely holding their own. You see the harpies just in amongst them. That takes us to Fig. You have 2 that... No, you only had 1 that attacked you.
Fig bows his head, and for an instant, you see the small little bubbles of the fluid that may be his blood, the bright blue fluid. The bubbles just seem to slow. And you hear this resonating sound coming from Fig, almost sounding like a heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. And as it goes on, it gets slower and slower. And for an instant, the seaweed that has been swaying in the current slows. The fish slow. Everything stills for an instant. And then it resumes, but he has cast slow on the mother harpy and 5 other.
I love slow, but also hate slow. Slow is one of the most incredible spells. So,
and we keep combining it on you with pain.
Yeah. So I'm going to mark this off. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the matriarch and 5 of them are -2 penalty to AC and dexterity saving throws. Can't use reaction. Has to use either an action or a bonus action, not both. And regardless of their abilities or magic items, cannot make more than 1 melee or ranged attack during its turn. If the creature attempts to cast a spell with a casting time of 1 action, roll a d20 on an 11 or higher. The spell doesn't even take effect. And they do get to make a wisdom save at the end of each of their turns to try to break free of it. It's such an awesome spell. Excellent. Fig. Anything else? Any movement?
No, Fig's gonna stay where he is.
Griveth. 2 harpies are swirled around you, have made their attacks. What are you going to do?
I will attack.
For some reason, that just reminded me of that, I think, 80s or 90s song, I got the power. And I will attack, and you don't want that.
Okay, so I got a 14.
That is, yes, that's a hit.
All right. And 11 points of damage.
What are you attacking with, Sir Bradford's Honor?
So Bradford's Honor, yeah.
This harpy, it's almost like an instinct as you spin around one of the ones that attacked at you and impale it on Sir Bradford's Honor. And before it even falls into the salt water, its blood spraying in an arc. You bring the magic sword around to attack the next one.
And spray Talmud with the blood spray.
That seems to be on par to spray the dwarves with the arterial spray.
As I bring Sir Bradford's Honor around for the second attack. Oh, that is 27. I assume that's a hit.
Let me check. Yes, that hits.
Okay. Oh, nice. 13 points of damage.
It's one of those, as you bring it around without even looking, one of the harpies was opening its mouth to screech at you, and you just right through its open mouth, puncturing through. And I think in this moment, you're seeing, Ira, that Griveth, though as a quote-unquote gentleman, he has a lot to learn. But as a fighter, he is something to be reckoned with. As you see suddenly the back of this harpy's head just burst out with the tip of this blade, Griveth pulls it out, looking for his next target. Griveth, anything else you would like to do? Movement?
As I slice the blade around, I spray Thorgarn with the rest of the.
Of course. So then it is. Speaking of Thorgarn, it is Thorgarn's turn.
So, how many of these things are around us now?
There are now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 harpies, one of whom is engaged with you.
Is there any way to stay within this guy's zone and be able to engage multiple at the same time?
They're all close enough because of the where you guys were that you have enough movement. Even though technically this is difficult terrain, I think you would be able to maneuver through them and be able to hit 3 of them.
All right.
Well, I'll say this. You'll be able to try to hit 3 of them.
So Thorgarn, issues his, typical just, battle roar and unlike Talmud, where he takes on a personality, his spirits actually, manifest and begin harassing the harpies that are around him. And I just, pull out the warhammer and the longsword and go to town. It's a 18, a 20, and a 17 to hit.
All of those are going to be hits.
So that is 13, 13, and 11.
Okay. 3 more harpies are dispatched as Thorgarn once again, just in this impressive display, and I think even as a dwarf, you're a little closer to the water. So there's this, if you've ever taken your hand when you're in the water at the ocean or the lake. I'm from Michigan, so we go to the lake all the time. When you skim it across the water and you get that spray of water as your weapons are just sort of arcing across your longsword, and I believe you have a warhammer, and they're just creating these sprays, and the salt water is mixing with blood as your hammer connects and your longsword cuts and feathers. And Ira, you watched the Dawnbringers in action as 3 more of these harpies are felled by one dwarf. 2 harpies remain.
So if I have any way of getting into contact with the remaining harpies, I would like to do so to have my spirits harass them.
You're close enough, I will allow it.
Excellent.
Which means pretty much all of the harpies, the harpy matron and the harpies, are going to be at disadvantage because these and I've asked this before, but remind me, are you the only one that can see the spirits, or can everybody see them?
When I am raging, they manifest and everyone can see them.
So Ida, you see, though nobody seems to react to it, you see these sort of spectral forms that almost look like these dwarf specters that seem to be just spinning through the air, almost moving across the surface of the water, wielding spectral weapons and just harassing. And the harpies are reacting to them. The harpies are swatting at them with their wings and their talons. And it is, Ira, your turn. 2 harpies and the harpy matron remain.
Ira will dart out from her cover and make a beeline for the harpy matron. I'm assuming I've got allies within 5 feet.
Yes, absolutely. If you make the hit, you will get your sneak attack damage.
I've never had sneak attack damage. Okay, make my hit. Oh, wait. Oh, what's my to hit? It helps if I have the character sheet up.
I think you're something like a +7 to hit or more, aren't you?
Yes, but I'm also going to re-roll that because it was like a 3 on the dice.
So that's a domain die re-roll?
No, it is a lucky dice re-roll.
Oh.
I am not going to take your domain die.
Somebody took the feat.
That's a little better. So that's an 18 to hit.
Ooh, yeah, that hits.
So what you all see is as she's running up, she pulls out this blade that's glistening, like sparkles just kind of rising up off of it, and the temperature seems to drop just a little bit in the area where she is. And she will and she will make a stab at this thing, and so that is 1d8. So that's a 10. I really should label these better. That's a +4, so that's 5, and then 1d6 cold. So 8 damage total. And then, oh wait, sneak attack.
Nope, you got sneak attack damage, and sneak damage. I have not been drinking.
Sneak attack.
He has.
Sneak attack. So 3d6. So what I say, 8 plus 12, 13. 18 damage. Total with everything.
Okay.
Oh, my cat heard the dice, and now the cat demon is over here.
So you just seem to burst out of nowhere. The harpy matron doesn't even see you as this. everybody around you feels this sort of rush of cold air as you come in with your rapier and this flash, and you just puncture through this harpy, and the wound itself has spider webs of ice seem to emanate from it, and it gives out a as she flares her wings. And well, let me ask you this. What are you going to do after you're done with your attack?
Disengage
Okay.
and head back towards where I was. And I will disengage by blowing a kiss at Cantriel. Mwah.
All right. She is going to re-engage with you, and she basically follows you as you move, and she is going to take. She comes in with her claws, leading with her claws, and I made this mistake when I rolled against Fig, and I rolled the wrong damage. So let's see if I can hit first. I'm gonna get ahead of myself. She comes in with her claws. The first attack is a 17.
With Bane?
With Bane?
Oh, that's right. She's baned.
Don't forget the Bane.
She comes in, and it's almost like this dark energy seems to almost... It's a disturbance in the air. Something seems to be holding her back. That's a 17, 16, 15 to hit.
Is she slowed? Is the harpy slowed?
Oh, wait a minute. Dang it. There's also a slow. Thank you. So that 15 becomes a 13, and it's with disadvantage.
Bye.
She did roll. Yeah. So, does a 15 hit you? Wait, a 13 hit you. So yeah, between all the spirits, that's just the first attack. Between all the spirits and everything else,
if she's slowed, she only gets one attack.
She only gets one.
Oh, that's
attack,
right.
Yeah, if they're slowed,
Good
yeah.
Lord. See, this is why I love and hate slow. You see this harpy as if she's almost moving slowly through the air, and one claw comes towards you, Ira, and you just sort of lean back as the talons just click in front of your face and then withdraw. And it is Cantriel's turn as you see this matron attacking Ira.
And how many of the other harpies do we have going still?
Two other
Harpers. Really? Secrets.
Harpies.
Wait, am I killing Harpers? I didn't want to kill Harpers.
All right. Cantriel, taking stock of the situation around them, she's going to take a very deep breath, and her body becomes almost peaceful, and she's going to sing, "Hush, hush, hush, says your daddy's touch. Sleep, 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 says the 100th sheep." And all of them are now been cast with sleep. But I have to roll 98 because I'm doing this at 3rd level.
What are you casting?
Sleep.
I thought you said sheep.
Well, there's sheep in the song.
Okay.
So let's see. First round, I have to do this a couple times because I don't have enough D8. 16. 16 plus 11, so that's 27. Next one. That is going to be 15 added to that, and one more die. Plus 6. So 15.
27 becomes 32, 42, plus what was the last number?
6.
38. Both of the remaining harpies sort of just flare their wings, and then you see them sort of, and they pull back, and they just sort of settle onto the exposed railing of the elven ship, the Quen, and they immediately tuck in and look almost like birds at roost, as you almost hear this sort of as they settle in. The two harpies are asleep, but the matron is not.
And then I'll give another round of bardic inspiration to Fig.
Okay. Talmud, you are up. The harpy matron is engaged with Ira, and two harpies have decided to roost on the railing.
And 2 of those were still the ones on me, right? I think I still had 2.
Thorgarn took care of those.
Oh, thanks, Thorgarn.
Thorgarn managed to eliminate 3 harpies.
All right. So Talmud is going to sprint the short distance over to where the matron is, still kind of brandishing this axe kind of out front. I must be brave. I have to be brave. This foul creature, it has to die, and is going to attack twice. That is hang on. 22 on the first one.
That's definitely a hit.
The second attack is a 14. Just hits. Nice. That slow probably helped. Okay.
Oh, yeah, they all have -2 to AC anyway, so yeah, you definitely hit.
All right. So 19 points of slashing damage on the first one. And 16 points on the second one.
Talmud Gedarn. How would you like to end this?
So Talmud has stalked forward through this kind of knee-deep water, timidly, trying to muster the courage, as this young female dwarf has kind of this ancestor has taken over Talmud's body, and he closes with the harpy, raising Ghost Cleaver up, shaking and trembling, but brings it down with like an unnatural practiced swing, one that kind of is counter to the kind of personality that's being shown, and it sinks deep in. I think it probably even like cuts like from the shoulder down through one of the wings into the rib cage, and then brings this axe back out and swings it sideways and cuts the harpy's head off.
The harpy's head, as you see Talmud, Ira. For everybody else, this is a fairly common sight, even though you've never seen this manifestation before. But Ira, you see this seemingly altered, timid manifestation of Talmud move in and behead this harpy matron, and the head sort of skims across the water and just lands floating near you. The only sound now is anybody's heavy breathing from exertion and the occasional from the 2 roosting, sleeping harpies. Though Cantriel, having put them to sleep, you know it's only a matter of time before they awaken. So, staying in initiative order for the moment, remind me, they're just asleep. They don't get any save on that, do they?
No, they're just asleep until, hold on. I think
It's a minute, I believe, or until they take damage.
1 minute until, where did it go? Sleeper takes damage or someone uses an action to shake or slap the sleeper awake.
Fig, is there anything you would do on your turn?
Fig would look to Cantriel, and as he does so, this compartment opens up in his arm, and you see a wand come out, and he looks to Cantriel, and he looks back towards the harpies. May I deal with them?
If you can take care of them in one fell swoop.
Perhaps.
Give it a go.
So, Fig is going to cast Magic Missile using his Wand of Magic Missile, and he is going to cast it at equivalent 6th level. So that is 7 darts.
So, Ira, you see as this clockwork wizard holds his hand out, and you watch as the inside of his forearm suddenly splits, and you see you can see that there's a couple of wands inside there, and one of them sort of pops up and just slides into his hand. Think like old school Kenner Star Wars figures with the slide out lightsaber. And he says this, and then all of a sudden the wand just that same blue arcane energy from Fig, 7 of these magical darts just swirl through the air, finding their marks. And I imagine as they come through, they come around, loop around, and all 7 kind of crisscross, passing through both harpies. A burst of magical energy and feathers, and those last 2 harpies fall dead into the water. And you are now out of combat.
Fig would look back towards Cantriel. I guess I was able to.
And very well, too.
So I would like to turn it just for the moment. I want to turn this over to Ira. Having seen the Dawnbringers in action, what does Ira do?
She'll kind of step over the corpse of the matriarch, wiping her blade off and putting it back in her belt and checking that the bellows are rehooked. And well, perhaps it wasn't such a waste of time to bring you along after all. This is fun. Shall we go see what else there is?
So Thorgarn, covered in harpy blood and feathers from not only his own attacks but the ones from Griveth as well, just takes a moment and just splashes the salt water at least over his face, if not his shirt, and gets himself somewhat cleaned off as he begins to calm down and the spirits begin to dissipate back into where only he can see them. Let's go.
So, Ira, you know that any treasure that the Quen holds lies below the surface of the water. Where did it go? There it is. You are the only one that... well, I take that back. You are one of only 2 that has the ability to go underwater without having to worry about breathing. How do you want to proceed?
She'll walk over to Fig. So, Prometheus, are you up for a little jaunt?
Of course.
I assume you can carry quite heavy weights.
Fig, how are you in terms of holding yourself together?
You see Fig, he almost runs, if you could imagine like a diagnostics. You could see he kind of starts from the top of his head down to his feet. You see various gears just come out and move and rotate all the way down. I'm a little hurt, but not as so bad as I cannot function properly.
Do you want maybe a little bit of help?
A little bit would be appreciated.
All right. So Cantriel's going to do some mending on Fig before they start wandering off.
Anyone else in need of healing?
What did we decide with Fig with the whole healing with mending and Cantriel? Because we had that. Remember that?
Remember it.
Yeah, I think mending was like a heal spell.
Yeah, using a heal spell for Fig.
Yeah, I think we were treating mending that it was
Yeah.
fixing physical damage.
Okay.
To
so
Fig.
do the 1d8 like I would for cure wounds
Yeah.
with a +3. Okay. All right. So All right, so then Fig gets back 7.
So, in the interest of time, Fig and Ira, you move through the ship. You find that within the wreckage of the Quinn, there it is. You find within the wreckage of the Quinn, there are a few bits of sea life that have made their home inside, but they don't pay you any mind. Eventually, you find within the hold a wooden box, a wooden chest that is about a medium-sized chest. It looks like this is probably the item that contains the treasure. The two of you working together are able to bring it up to the surface and up to the exposed quarterdeck. The chest has it's actually rather unremarkable looking, though it seems to have a bit of weight to it. What would you like to do?
Can I check it for traps?
Absolutely. Give me an investigation check.
That sucks. 11.
You don't seem to find any traps.
You could re-roll.
I can use
there
lucky.
are 68 domain dice. Do not
Oh, I
feel
can
guilty about using them.
I'll just use my lucky feet. It's okay. Ten.
Using your expert abilities, you have determined that this chest is not trapped.
I thought I had something that made me better with the traps. I thought it was whatever.
Knowing that it is free of traps, do you open it? It is not locked.
Do we open it here or wait until we get to your ship?
I think opening it here is a better bet.
Who's going to open it?
Are you guys still below the water?
Ira will stand back. No,
they're
on
up
deck.
on the quarterdeck.
Yeah, Thorgarn would easily offer, if you say it's not trapped, I'll open it.
I think maybe stand back, just in case. And she will take out her frostblade rapier and reach out and lift the lid.
You open the lid, and as the lid falls back, there is a tremendous rush of noise and feathers as 200 chickens begin just everywhere. They just seem to keep coming.
Someone's been killing chickens in Zelda.
It's 100% a Zelda thing. This chickens, I'm kidding. I'll tell you what the source is, but this literally says, where is it? Where does it say that?
Aren't they also still underwater?
No, they're on the quarterdeck.
No, we're on the deck.
We've established.
Okay.
We have established that.
I pictured that in a totally different way. It's
It
hilarious.
says here, anyone who opens the box discovered is filled with 200 chickens who immediately attempt to escape. As 200 chickens, and from this day forth, this small island is populated by chickens. But once the chickens clear, you notice a couple of things. One, this box itself is magical. 200 chickens could not fit inside a box.
It's my new luggage.
This is a box of holding. It is roughly 2 feet in length, width, and depth, and can hold up to 1,000 pounds, not exceeding a volume of 128 cubic feet. No matter what is in it, the box weighs 30 pounds. It's basically a bag of holding, but as a box. However, inside the box, there does appear to be some items. Who amongst you would like to roll? Who's going to reach into the box? Let me ask that.
Oh, well, I am.
So I'm going to have you roll me a D8.
The 8 is this one. 7.
Or 7.
7.
And roll me a D100. For some reason,
I have to actually load up a dice roller for that one.
for some reason, Google. You could just roll a D10 twice,
Don't make me do this.
but then you'd have to math.
You know, I don't think it's very nice of you to make fun of my math skills.
I'm not making fun of it. I was just stating a fact.
60.
Sorry, my Google is lagging for some reason. It's not scrolling through. One moment as I get to the chart. The again, not a sponsor. Treasures of Saltmarsh, 50 magical items from DM's Guild by the Dungeon Rollers. That's what I'm using. What did you roll?
60.
You rolled a 60 on this chart. You find a potion vial that appears to be made of stone. Carved into the stone is the shape of a giant shark. This potion, and Kelly, this is something I do on the channel.
Are we sure it's not a baby shark?
Something I do is I don't waste time with, unless it works in the storyline, I don't waste time with identifying all that, especially since we're at the end of the session. This is a potion of sea life, giant shark. The person imbibing this potion will turn into a giant shark. Okay. I would like to have now, just for poops and giggles, each person that would reach into the thing box, good lord, I would like you each to roll a D100, and we will start with Cantriel. Do you reach into the chest? Talmud, do you reach into the chest? Talmud, roll me a D100.
74.
74?
Correct.
That is bizarre. But
thanks. That's me.
You actually also pull the exact same item out.
Oh, holy hell.
So you now have a potion of sea life, giant shark. Talmud, Thorgarn.
56.
56. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 56. You have pulled out something that is called a trusty tankard.
I like the sound of that.
Make a note of that. I will tell you in just a moment because I'm having trouble scrolling. I have too many tabs open. Fig, do you reach inside? Fig.
I rolled a 5.
You rolled a 5 on table 3. You have something called barbed tongue. And I'll tell you what that is in a moment. Griveth, do you reach inside?
Heck yes. 23.
23. Ooh. This is killing me, this scroll. I don't know what's going on. 23. You pull out
a love potion?
Something called Kraken ink. Thank you to Scraticus. We're coming up on the end of the channel, but thank you, Scrat, for hosting the channel with 20 viewers. What did I say? Kraken's ink. And Cantriel, seeing everybody pulling treasures out, do you rethink your decision or do you stand by your decision?
No, she's just going to stand back and sort of smile and see that everyone's enjoying finding their little discoveries, but she's not going to take anything herself.
Okay, so I'm going to find these items real quick.
Ira would walk over and place the bottle in Cantriel's hand. You can have that.
Are you sure?
We don't like sharks.
All right, then I'll take it off your hands for you if you don't like them.
Thank you.
Okay, so you now have the potion of sea life. So I will tell you guys once we're offline here what these things do. There is one other thing. Cantriel, you notice after where is it? There it is. You notice that after Ira has given you this bottle and you're kind of checking it out, while you're holding it in your hand and sort of, I just picture it kind of like as you like hold a bottle of wine with two hands and you're looking at it. There was something stuck to the bottom and it just comes unstuck and falls into the palm of your hand. A copper coin that is roughly cut with the image of a noblewoman engraved in the copper. This coin feels warm in your hand.
Would you know what this is about? Shringatari.
You didn't notice it. I just fitting with Kelly's guest appearance. Kelly, Ira, make me a history check.
So
it just happened this way. I didn't intend to make you make history checks all night.
Come on, no whammy. 15.
15. So you recognize this coin. You're surprised to see it. This coin, you know to be one of 5 legendary coins that are known as the Treasure of Saltmarsh. It is one of a set of 5. You also know that the legends say that unless you possess all 5 coins, whoever holds the coin is cursed. Do you say anything to Cantriel?
You don't want to keep that.
Right.
Give it to Griveth.
Will it help him?
Sure.
All right.
Can't hurt.
At this point, I'm willing to try anything. Griveth,
Yes, Cantriel.
an offering for Eldath, and she'll flick the coin up and over towards him.
Can she give it to me, or is she stuck with it?
You flip the coin through the air, and it seems to sort of and flies right back to your hand, Cantriel.
Or not.
Where's the offering?
It's an IOU.
And with that, Ira, do you have any final parting words to these adventurers before we bid adieu? You're not leaving them at this exact moment, but I'm going to give you a moment to say any final words to anybody you would. When we resume next session, it will be with Ira having delivered you all to Saltmarsh. So, Ira, this is your time to deliver any parting words to any and all that you wish to.
Well, first off, the box is mine. That's it. This is my new luggage. He's lovely. Well, it's interesting. You are certainly an interesting lot. You were much more talented than I expected. Although I might not think that the dwarf would be a great dinner party guest. We can always find out later. Maybe I'll call on you again if I need some more help. What do you think?
I think that'd be grand. Personally, at least.
After all, you need to ride in a decent ship every once in a while.
I'm game if you are.
Does Virgil even clean his ship? My God, that man is disgusting.
You're very kind to us. Thank you.
You are very welcome, Prometheus. Thank you. Well, shall we be off?
All right, with that, we are going to end tonight's session, Mother of Pearl. Thank you immensely to Kelly, the opera geek, for joining us as Ira, the sea elf, on this absolutely amazing adventure. I love the interplay that happened in this episode. It was wonderful. Actually, Kelly and I have been cooking this up for at least a month or two, since before we started Saltmarsh, to surprise V in particular, but to surprise everybody. So I'm thankful that since Jasper's Game Day, Kelly, that you've returned to Mini Terrain Domain. And of course, I feel confident in saying I speak for everyone in saying that you are welcome anytime. Ira is now a part of the canon of the Dawnbringers and the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and it would be weird if they didn't run into one another again. And
with Lysol.
I love, yes, with Lysol, Urak, and I can't remember the half orcs.
Sengo.
Sengo. I was gonna say Senegal, but I've been watching The Good Place. Anyway, so yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for being a part of this. It was absolutely a blast having you on here. Of course, as always, thank you to Scotty, V, Megan, Ted, and Jeremy for always just being awesome in the role play and playing this game. And I want to say a huge thank you to Scraticus for the late game follow with 20 viewers. Thank you everybody who's here. Think about hitting that little follow button while you're here. We run games multiple times a week. Currently Sunday, Monday, Thursday. We have a new Megan and Connor are running a campaign on Alt Wednesdays here, and Mini Terrain Domain presents the Spire, The City Must Fall. We have Tomb of Annihilation on Sundays. We have Waterdeep Dragon Heist on Mondays. We've got Dawnbringers, which is kind of a mishmash of various stuff. Currently Saltmarsh on Thursdays. Coming in early September is Legends and Legacies. It is a new campaign happening on Alt Tuesdays here on Mini Terrain Domain. That is, I'm combining Lost Mines of Phandelver with the Dragon of Icefire Peak from the Essentials kit, and I have 5 players who are not in any of my other games, though some of them have played on games here on the channel. So please think about following. Let's see. Spike, KY Hawkeye, Follow Me and Die, Undead King 426, Myth and Gears, Cajun Kevin, thank you for the bits, the tips, and the subscripts. I managed to pull a triple rhyme. So thank you, everybody. This has just been an awesome night. Tune in every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for the continuing adventures of the Dawnbringers, the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Next week will be Session 5. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get out of here. Remember, you've only got a couple days left to get in on that awesome Nerdarchy Kickstarter. They have cleared 1,000% of their goal, but there's still incredible things in the waning days of this Kickstarter. Get in on that. You want to be a part of this. with that, we are going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
Da, da.